Okay.
Because I just love him and I think he's an amazing player. I love Mongrel because he's, you know, an amazing character. Where I stand with him as a player is yet to be seen, but he's, you know, there's an opportunity now to put me in my place.
The art of discipline, he made a video out before. He's going to need all of that going into these last 3 games. King and Phaser is another duo that I'm looking at right here. They can make it all happen. Their debut season in EU, what a story that would be as well.
Yeah, good luck to the boys from Argentina. We are going to head over to our casters now, though, to Carter and Jacob PR, because it's time to get these final 3 games underway.
I don't know time.
Thank you, Frankie. This is it, Jacob. Look, I wanted to say it was the last chance in the previous 3 games from the uppers, but it wasn't, because now it is literally the last chance for these duos to qualify to the grand finals. 3 games to be played out. I'm excited.
No, I'm excited as well. And Levin broke it down. It's top 15. It's no longer top 25. So that tiebreaker scenario wouldn't have even mattered here in the lower bracket. But with the last chance to qualify, let's start these games.
This is it. The moment of truth. You have Mr. Savage Mongrel now contested by Howley and Nefrizzi. King Phaser making their debut. For 9, Moneymaker also contested. All you need, Jacob, 1 big game.
And it's a huge switch up for some of these teams that were uncontested. Moneymaker for 9 being one of them in the upper bracket round 3. They weren't able to secure that top 25, so they go again, and it is a much harder road. Druxies and Balad on the other side, taking away the loot that they were able to claim to themselves in that first set of games. And you even see a third party on top of that mountain looking down in the distance, gathering that information, maybe even trying to get a couple of cheeky shirt shots to start the game off. But only time will tell what really happens here. Is Moneymaker and Fernayan really not wanting to give up their drop.
Shield breaker EMP in hand, looking to see if he can get a cheeky little toss onto one of the opponents here up above, but crouched around. Moneymaker has an angle, unable to connect, gets hit himself, actually fully cracked now. No shield to work with, as it's gonna be Drux and Milad who have the advantage.
Yep, great opportunity there for Moneymaker, just really wasn't able to capitalize on it. In fact, he gets shut down completely. Now they're still fighting on the back foot. You even got EMP shield breakers coming out. Moneymaker trying to hide around the corner. Great job for Nine fighting back, making they know it's not going to be an easy fight if you continue to try to aggress onto us. But Druxy goes up and over, trade shots with Moneymaker. Nobody really coming out on top so far.
Refarming up. Anything you can get, whether it be a tree. I mean, that ramp won't give you mats, but good thing to break at least. As now money expands out to keep farming. I mean, you can see how scarce the materials are looking, and you can even see a duo creeping on in now for a potential third party.
Yeah, they're getting closer and closer. At first, it started off with just one of them getting information. Can we do this? Can we not? I think they gave themselves the green light. And they're crouching, just trying to hide as much of that audio as possible. And since they heard that a lot of the shots slowed down, they're now just taking more time than they were before. Their plan here is to wait until they start fighting yet again, hear those shots, and that's going to be the perfect time for them to jump on and try to third party it.
I don't think they even know that Fernayan and Moneymaker have already disengaged. So if they do end up finding an opportunity to strike onto the duo that's there, it could just be a regular 2 versus 2. For Trulex and Chicho. 0 elims on the board, but also not a lot of shields. I wonder if it's just they've been unable to find them in ruined reels, or what's gone wrong in that case. But not being contested can be a blessing, but also a curse, especially in these lobbies where you need so much damage. So having duos in the surrounding areas to take shots at while they're rotating can be huge. If not, you can just take the engagement.
Yeah, I think the upper bracket showed us something when it came to Storm Surge in these last chances to get himself more total effective shield and HP.
Up to see if they can find an angle. They know their opponents are lit, but so are they. Just one med kit to heal up. One crash pad to move. As they should be farming up here anything they can as they wait. Only 7 builds. It's not enough. Farm some trees, farm something. As they quickly disengage from the scenario.
Yeah, and you're seeing a lot of these early game fights stalling out just a little bit longer than some would hope. Kind of forces the option to disengage, but not everybody's taking that memo. X-Squeeze Slove just trying to fight back from a team that was aggressing on him down the mountain. They have full on position here because it was their box they were hiding in, and Slove lands another couple shots. X-Squeeze there to try to finish it off, but he takes a monster of a tag, dropped down to 29 HT, but at least he was able to get the knock onto Artem, giving them a huge numbers advantage. Slove is not even trying to slow things down. He's trying to keep him on his toes. That's going to be a great piece control going on over to him, but the shots just unable to connect on this final player, but persistence is key. Zone moving in. He's able to escape out the side door, but there's only so much one man can do. But Slove takes another monster shot. He is fighting back both of these players with ease.
Slove forced to take a break now, popping minis. Still has a med kit if they need to get to it, but as the fight takes longer, more duos start creeping in. They realize there's... Will they be able to capitalize on this scenario or not? As Slove has decided it's not worth it anymore to find the solo. Medkit being popped, and time keeps ticking.
Medkit's already going to be used. It's great for them to find that very, very early on. Pretty easy as well, but that aggression, the fight stalling out too long, puts them in this position. Now Uguay and Tino seeing all that go down. Now they have a chance with this crash pad. They can easily go directly to zone or land on them. Does look like they're at least, at the very minimum, going to try to get in front, cut off their path, not make it easy for them to rotate on through.
Going to be using a lot of materials here just to make sure that their opponents can't get damaged. They know how good it could be for them if their opponents are below and they're above. Causes them to be able to kind of make the defensive move while the others play overly aggressive. As Howley and Frizzy picked up an E-limp.
This is one of those teams who are talking about the contested drop in which they have to go through. So far, so good for them. You just got to keep continuing letting a lot of these teams, because that whole south side of the map in general, whether if it's Snooty or that split drop, is so congested. Even if teams choose to disengage, they're all...
But aside Snazy now, though, they have some free pickings here with the advantage they have in the engagement, but any fight is possible to make a comeback in. What they don't know is how tagged those opponents might be. So they will continue on with the rotate here. They could even hold them up on the ridge, but zone is a bit far. A third about to appear as well. No medkits in the inventory. Put aside now. Just gonna keep rotating.
This might just be a feeling, but I feel like a lot of teams to start this game off are staggering themselves so deep into zone, which isn't too much of a worry in terms of damage. It is only a one tick. Combine that with the grapple blades and the ways to rotate, you can get to zone. But the storm surge, the storm sickness plays a big role. So we'll see if a lot of these teams that are staggering themselves back as far as they are going to be able to kind of handle storm sickness at the end of the game. But Yapko Blaha, weapon cache time Takata. A lot of teams will be boxed up just like this.
Weapon cache, forecast tower. These objectives, they can give you that advantage throughout the match, whether it be seeing the storms ahead of time, the circles that will be appearing, or just getting that extra loot from the combat cache. There are duos in the surrounding area, but not close enough to be a danger to them, so they should be able to pick it up pretty freely.
You see that Artem is going to be rebooted back into the game. We saw him get dropped off early on. Put aside Snazy knows somebody's around, and they don't want to stay to find out who it is, especially since they do have some distance to cover before they find their safety into zone. And then even further to go before they're in the next zone after that. And with Podesai looking like he doesn't have too many HP heals, that's going to be my only concern for this team. But I've seen them deal with worse, and I've seen them play with less.
Quick reminder, it's not top 25 like the upper bracket, it's top 15 from this lower bracket to qualify to the grand finals, making it that much more difficult for the players that are competing here today. You can see Reckless Railways is getting quite reckless with the amount of duos around it. Misha Tini, though, starting off with that 8-point advantage from the 2 eliminations, which is huge. In the upper bracket, it was 60 points to qualify, and already having 8 points just from 2 elims off spawn already gives you a head start.
It's one of those tough positions to be in, and you kind of take that thing, you 60 points for the top 25. If upper bracket was like any indication, if you look at 15th place, 94 points. So even though those are kind of estimates, you got to be setting your eyes to scoring about 100 points to be safe here in that top 15 competition. And it's going to be much, much more difficult than it was before, considering this is the last chance. Players are going to realize that they can't make the same risky plays that worked out for them in the upper bracket. Or even to kind of make it this far. High Joan, fast strokey, tower in the sky, 10 bullets in the sniper. Definitely set themselves up in a position to where a lot of teams, maybe even if it doesn't look like it now, will have to rotate in this direction sooner or later.
Yeah, I love the position. They have so much ammunition to capitalize on a position like this as well. Almost 300 in the AR, like you said, 10 in the sniper. It's just a couple shots from the AR every now and then is really all they need to get through these first storm surges. But I mean, one snipe too could be incredibly beneficial for Raban and Axe Force. They have decided to base up on top. Ooh. We're building in the Pleasant Piazza. Gotta be careful though. One wrong peek, one headshot snipe, and you're knocked down. Good news is they did get the cash. They do have extra consumables, extra shield, extra medkits.
That's smart. That's smart, especially when like in chapter 4, almost all season long, we saw teams kind of take a lot of those extra heals, bring them on over to their sky base, and then kind of trade off surge into the distance from there. Interesting to see them not kind of consolidate those heals into a high ground positions, but it's kind of the same thing. Right now, they feel the safety, being able to trade those shots with any other team nearby because they have so many extra heals to the weapon cache they were able to capture early on.
One thing that scares me is having that build be made of wood. I don't know, it just kind of makes me a bit nervous having so many buildings where you can refarm brick close by. But Rift Island now looks like there is going to be a duo going for Demus here. He's gonna have to be careful as his duo partner was not on the island with him. It's Vision, it's Marco. They're gonna be the ones capturing the flag.
And their team I was looking at in the upper bracket side of things, I believe it was yesterday, they had high ground in one of those end games. But just as we've seen so many times, you have high ground a little too early. A team's just waiting under you, watching you like a hawk until that perfect moment. They grapple up, they fight for the high ground, and that's where they lost all control over their game. They were so close to already being in the grand finals and being able to watch this show on the sidelines, but now they are being put to the ultimate test here. Top 15 is going to be the goal. Darky and Darkest see Heine rotating right below him. They're trying to pop some shots, but you see the key for them is they're keeping their elevation. They don't want to maintain their position on that natural low ground with so many teams rotating near them.
The majority of the times, it's always good to stay elevated. There are some scenarios where you want to use that environmental coverage from a ridge, from a hill, or from anything to maybe block some shots on a team that's already elevated above you. But Darkest, 2 elims, they have a bit of freedom in terms of damage to make these rotations in a location without too many duos in the surrounding area.
Nice find there by Podesai, shield fish for Snazy, making sure that he's up to tip-top shape. Doesn't want to get one-shotted with a hammer pump, sniper rifle by any means, but there is a team close enough nearby, a little bit more forward in zone. That's Artem, MZD back-to-back. And they're the teams that they've been kind of rotating close together for quite some time, very, very parallel, so you got to be careful if the zone does pull far away. Being close to another team, rotating, isn't necessarily the best thing, but it really all depends on Surge and where you're positioned on that threshold.
Could work out if it doesn't cost you to get into a very rough situation. Looking back though, more towards the edge. Protexia. Kind of boxed up, just looking at the duo. He knows it's a duo there. But they are in the storm. It makes me think kind of what their game plan is. Do they just want to get a clean rotate? What are they looking to do? Looks like they're actually in the sky.
Cheeky little rotation. Not too much trouble Protexia still trying to go ahead and put shots in that direction along with Edit Course. Not picking up too much Surge, but not really a worry either. They're not too far off from zone. Going to refarm, top up their mats before they kind of do a little skip to zone. They're not going to go too far, especially with Rift Island being on the north side of the current zone.
Hanging back. Look at King and Phaser. You said it yourself. It's not their home region of Brazil. Now competing on Europe. Back in Chapter 2, Season 4, during the qualifiers, they did break that record of winning 11 out of 12 matches. So they have experienced consistency before. But now being on a new region, it's a whole different playing field. And doing it once again is going to be difficult.
Yeah, in this position where they're at, much different than some of the other ones before. Above Surge, center zone. A lot of teams rotating in different directions, so potential for shots to continue working on that Surge. But Podesai and Snazy need to do the same thing. 16 as we tuned in, 23 below. But a well-played shot is going to get him above. For the teeter-totter, the bouncing in and out of these builds. He's able to get a knock onto one. Snazy Podesai immediately pounce onto that body, trying to clean that one up. Teammate there, trying to alleviate the pressure. I love the thought process coming out of Artem. Bring the fight to them. Try to catch him off guard. 2 versus 1. The numbers say enough, and Snazy and Podesai live yet another fight.
You said it, Jacob. They've been rotating by each other this whole time, but it looks like they had enough of it once they took that fight. Looking at Hydro Fastroki. Pistol again in the hands of Hydro. With 38 above, he's gonna have to hit more than just a couple shots.
Luckily for him, I will say, if he can just give himself a little bit more elevations, that way you can see the other side of the map. This might not be a bad spot to be in with that smart pistol. Especially with some of the zones beginning to open up. If anybody looks to grab that extra space. But Vastroki and Hydro being patient, not really forcing it. I don't know who landed the shot. Maybe somebody got taken down, but they just bursted up the Storm Surge threshold. And that's kind of how it works. If a team gets taken down that was placed that much more above you, you've got to take their spot.
Good spot to be in. All the way up to 330 above from 30. Howley, the Frizzy, 279. Players looking a lot more comfortable compared to the first match of the upper bracket. Seems like a lot of them are kind of in the zone now. They've realized how much work they have to put in terms of damage earlier on in the match. A lot of the duos as well rotated early. You can see already positioned inside of zone. There's only a few that have yet to rotate in. Howling, Nefrizzi being one of them. Even taking shots at the competitors that aren't yet in. And they might even be able to find an Elim here.
Yeah, it might not. It's not bad a rotation either, because he has that natural line of sight of the mountain behind him. So even though there are teams positioned above him waiting for this rotation to come through, they let a lot of the other teams take that brunt force, using them as a distraction. Now that they finally find their crevice on the edge of zone, they look back once more. They see a solo, basically theirs for the taking. It's not going to be a ton when it comes to Storm Surge, but at least it's something. But Darky and Darkest go ahead and enter that same frame. And that's the opportunity that they needed, but they need to take advantage of it now. 50 below, Storm Surge active, focus from different positions in the lobby. This is easily going to turn into a nightmare if they don't act quick.
They've been cracked. Their opponents know they are losing HP to Storm Surge. Now they know it's a good engagement to take. They have the advantage if they're able to go in. Darkest also needing to do damage. It's the perfect opportunity to strike, but they have to land their shots.
2 teams low on Surge, getting ticked away, just trying to play into the same box. Something that you don't see every day. Howling of Frizzy, their defense stands tough. They take them out with a little bit of help from the lobby, forcing them into each other's hands, but they've done enough to keep themselves alive. Topped off on mats, great shields and HP to regain as well. I feel like now they've been reborn.
Good job of instantly expanding out metal boxes once they secured those 2 eliminations to try and stop the focus that was on them. But even after those 2 eliminations, they are still just 88 above the Storm Surge threshold. But with a good rotate like this and now an opportunity to look back, they should be able to get more shots in.
You see Roban and Axe Force in that last upper bracket. Things didn't go their way, and they continue to tumble 100 below, but he lands a quick cheeky shot with the frenzy, but it's not going to be enough to overcome everybody else taking advantage of their positioning. That's Marco, that's Firebro on the other side. Roban's going to try to stagger them in the position, because this is how you isolate a fight from a lobby just like this, especially when the zones are in 50-50.
21 above as the pressure continues. Roban Axe Force now. They have the elevation, but they're not watching their back. Roban dropped down to 26 HP, no shield, trying to escape, but he's unable to. They get taken out.
They tunnel vision so hard on that team below them. Another team needed Surge just as bad as they did, and they got it. They took it away. King, Phaser, great to see them still maintaining above the Storm Surge threshold. That was a much needed break between upper and lower bracket. That was a reset, and this could be the reset that they need. Placement points just beginning to set in, though. Still too soon to tell. 23 teams alive. It's not until about that top 10 where half the points are granted.
This is huge. 14 points. Already such a strong start for King and Phaser. 2 more opportunities after this to make something happen, but they might not even need it if they get a big enough match. You can see Grapple Blade in hand. Rotates coming through. You just have to make sure you don't get boxed here.
Stacey Podestat been doing barely enough to stay ahead of the curve, whether if it's rotation, damage, and Storm Surge, and they do it yet again, but they're separated momentarily. Podestat pauses for a quick second, realizing where Stacey's at before reuniting in the same box, and what an elimination Stacey was able to get by himself, catching Fishy off guard and refreshing a lot of those materials in which they needed.
153 above. Kind of have a bit of time here to switch up items, split mats, make sure they're on the same page, make sure the chemistry is still looking strong. The Strokey Hydro, though, one of the duos that's getting looked back on by a lot of other teams already based up. Chicho taking shots, connecting them, 85 above, but he needs more.
This is his chance really to make up for lost time. We really know what this team is capable of. If you look at a lot of the community analysts through EU, they looked at this team as one of the top dogs. Rightfully so. The performance at the Global Championship was insane. Not only contested, top position on the leaderboard, including back-to-back wins in that final. They just need to be able to find that form in this meta, which almost make it sound easy, even though it's not. It's whack. Just high ground, shooting down from above, but night zone moving. This is typically a little too soon from what we've seen so far throughout the weekend.
Nobody yet to claim high ground up ahead in this zone. Whack had it before. Do they want it again? It looks like they might. As he goes for a box, takes the shots, gets the knock. This could be very big if he's able to pick up that extra loot and quickly secure the position he was looking for, but it's taken so long. His teammate's been dropped down so low that they're gonna have to regroup and heal.
Yeah, finally they reunite. A lot of the heals are there to bring up to 200 effective shield and HP. King and FaZe are doing so well, handling Surge up until this point. 23, falling below 10. This is where it's going to get rough for them, but Chicho and Trulex, they're trying to take the easier road, less traveled, and that is the road to the high ground. Spinaldo gets spotted out and found towards the backside of zone. Refresh for Trulex to pick up, and now they have solidified their position on top of the castle. It's all about if they could hold on to it or somebody will overthrow them.
Trulex connected. Chicho instantly building out forwards. Issue is only 1 bullet in his AR. Hopefully they can split up ammunition for King now. Running low on materials. Look like he's gotten splitting up from Phaser. Phaser's actually chasing an elimination here, as King might have just boxed up his opponent though, but you gotta play it safe. They group up. Storm Surge is picking. They're gonna heal, and all they need is 1 shot from Podestat. Stacey might stop them.
It almost feels like the team they're fighting against is also low on Surge, trading shots right before rotating towards the front side yet again. Hopefully they've done enough, but another team claiming that high ground for themselves, or at least attempting. Misha, Teeny, they're battling Trulex, Chicho, and immediately have to give it up. Misha took a huge shot and forced to drop down low to the low ground.
Chicho continuing to jump on up, now grouped up with Trulex. They've taken it. High ground is theirs. Nefrizzy, Howley, not looking too healthy. Howley really needs some HP or shield here, but unfortunately, it looks like they have none. They've got to stick together and secure as many placements as possible here.
There is a huge strength in numbers. We've seen it so far. Teams that feel like they have nothing come out with something, as long as they're on the same page. Howley's going to drop down first, scrapes together the psych mats towards the bottom of the map, and it's just enough to give themselves a position that they feel confident in. Maturity, Nipsey, they're the team right in front. Meanwhile, smooth sailing, Chicho, Trulex, high ground with 2 eliminations.
So far, nobody contesting them, but I spoke too soon as Vortexia from the back knocks down Trulex. Chicho left alone now. The medkits get dropped. It's 3 of them. It's enough for a heal up, but does he have enough HP? It's popped. 5-7-0 gets it eliminated.
And that's 2 medkits they earned for getting those eliminations along with the high ground. Phaser by himself. King was dropped. We saw that happen moments ago. His only medkit here is going to be popped now to stagger himself. His plays for placement points. Eliminations are a bonus. Vortexia, Edit Course, they're the ones at the high ground for now, but with 12 HP, very little shield. The shot comes through the backside of zone. Phaser drops as well. Top 5 scenario for the game.
Edit Course, Mythic Pump in hand. Medallion to recuperate that shield. 7 elims on the board, on fire. But what he doesn't know, a full duo down below, looking healthy as well. Do they have medkits though? Are they going to play the heal off?
Questions. Belusi right above Nipsey as well. Him and Jerdy trying to claim control of all these pieces down below, but Belusi goes in at the perfect time. 1 knock, 2, count them up. There goes another medkit being found. That is huge for Gabix and Belusi.
10 elims on the board. But unfortunately, we have a bit more information from Frankie. So let's hear what she has to say.
Hi everyone. So some of you might have noticed that a couple of our players did not get into the lobby, and we want to make sure that everyone has a fair crack at the whip, as my mother used to say. Don't worry, that's old-fashioned speak that no one ever uses on a Fortnite broadcast, but I'm trying to be serious, so I thought, what would my mother say right now? And that's what she would say. We want everyone basically to have a fair fight, and you can't fight if you're not in the lobby. So we are going to reset. We're going to remake that game and make sure that everyone can get the points that they deserve. We are going to take a short break while we do that, but do not go anywhere because the competition is just getting started. Oh, I thought we were going to have a short break. It turns out, no, we're still here. We're still here. They don't want to go to a break.
We have to sit here all the time, and that's the break. We have to stare at the camera and wait.
You know what? I really wish I'd done then. I really wish that I'd gone, we're going to go to a break. See you in a moment. And I kept waving. I do believe we actually can do a break, but just in case we're not ready, boys, just wave. Okay.
I'll wave.
Okay,
guys,
waving.
We'll see you after this short break. Wink, now wink, wink.
Wink.
The global championship was crazy.
Couldn't believe how big the arena was and the atmosphere, the pyrotechnics and graphics and lighting. It was like I was at a concert.
Meeting all the players was really cool as well, and meeting your fans from other regions, as well as like playing in front of this huge crowd and just seeing like them cheer you on and stuff like that was really fun as well.
You could tell the different fans cheering for the different players.
It's like the top of what Fortnite players are like want to qualify to or play in.
Honestly, in Fortnite, I've never seen anything like it.
I think the highlight moment was Levin's speech before the last game.
I ain't starting this game until we tear the roof off this building. For your arena, are you ready?
He was going crazy. Everyone was going mental and Levin was there just giving it down the mic. It was so good.
My personal highlight from the global championship was winning lower bracket with the deal.
Player who already has a spot versus a player who needs a big win. Rose goes down, Vidil takes him out.
Can't top that, to be honest. I just got goosebumps. Vidil's solo clutch to put us on the top of the leaderboard. I mean, I just couldn't believe my own eyes.
It was obviously Dukas when he like clutched 1v2, I think.
Now it's Duke left in a solo clutch situation. Two of NA's finest directly above him.
What?
Massive shot though onto second. Duke with the back-to-back, and it's a victory royale out of nowhere.
I was watching it and I felt like I did this.
The most exciting for me at the Global Championship was winning a game in lower bracket when me and Pink were almost not qualifying and then just qualifying out of nowhere.
And it's now a 2v2. That's gone, and Pingu at the bottom, and fall damage is real on the Vico, but he gets the trade at the bare minimum, and Pink and Vico take the game.
That was probably my most happy point.
The thing that's so special about playing on LAN is like the atmosphere is completely different, especially if you have a crowd like watching you. It's almost like you're playing a different game again. And that's why some people perform well at LAN, some people don't. There's a lot more pressure and everybody's watching. That's why I love playing at LAN.
It's just really nice winning a game on LAN. It's just a better feeling than winning like games online. Once you take your headphones off, you just hear a huge crowd cheering on for you and stuff like that. It's just like, it can give you goosebumps. And
not going to the global championship is not an option.
Just hypes up players, motivates everyone. It's just like a chance for like a life-changing opportunity.
I always want to be in the global championships. I want to come back for 2024 and qualify again. It's a super sick event. You get to hang out with all the people from the scene, and you also get to compete in the biggest tournament of the year. Of course, I want to be there.
was too exhausted, I needed the energy, needed to pick me up. I'm in your movie, but this is my cinema. I got a power, I'm built to devour. Anyone coming and gets me a tower. I don't care when the pressure. Some of y'all leaving here in the stretcher. Took my time to go and get better. I was reading in the red letters. Ay. Energy, energy, energy. Honey, that energy, energy. Energy, energy, energy. Honey, that. Been here, done that. You wanna know what we came for? Been here, done that. You wanna know what we came for? Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy. Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy.
Hello and welcome back to the FNCS semi-final. We have 3 more games before we know who is going to be making it to next weekend's grand finals. Now, you might have noticed we actually did start the lower bracket 3 matches earlier today. However, a duo did not make it into the lobby, and obviously we want everyone to, and you know this phrase off by heart now, have a fair crack at the whip. So we have remade the lobby and we're waiting for all the players to be confirmed that they're in there ready to board the battle bus. So stick with us and we're going to have game number 1 coming up very shortly. But while we wait, I am delighted to bring back Mini Miner and Levin if he me asking him to wink on the broadcast earlier. Levin, how are you? Have you been resuscitated?
You put me through a lot of things. My mentions, I don't think my mentions are ever going to recover. But you know what? That's what it's all about. All for the love of the game, eh?
All for the love of the game. Yeah, thank you so much to everyone watching online tonight, whether you're watching with the watch party or watching on twitch.tv/fortnite or on YouTube. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We love seeing all your comments as always, and thank you so much for supporting the players. Now, how are the players who are still competing going to make it through to next weekend's action? Well, we're going to talk you through the format now because we've already had 10 teams qualify over the past 2 days from the upper brackets by winning a victory royale and therefore getting a pass directly to next weekend. And we've had 25 teams qualify early tonight from the upper bracket. Now just 15 spots remain. So it couldn't be more simple. There are 3 more games and whoever is in the top 15 after those 3 games will be playing next weekend. There are no golden tickets. If you get a victory royale, then you're probably in with a good chance, but you're going to need to be consistent and you're going to need to keep racking up the points, Mini Miner.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's been a long weekend of Fortnite action for a lot of these teams, of course. Those that have played all those sessions that, of course, didn't qualify through with the victory rally here today. So a big test of stamina. It's a big test of fatigue almost for some of these players that are still playing at this point. The mental game is really going to start to play a part. 3 more games as well. It can be over in a flash whether these teams will make it into grand finals, but I'm on the edge of my seat.
Levin looks like he's starting to laugh at something. I kind of want him to share it with the class. Levin, this is very serious.
I got nothing, man. I got nothing at all. I think Mini makes a great point, right? It's definitely been a marathon for a lot of these players, especially the ones that, like you said, they've been going on and on and on, session after session. Especially the ones who maybe have gotten a bit close along that journey, right? If you've been mostly a lower bracket team and you've pushed your way up now, you know it's a different story. But some of the ones that maybe dropped into from upper bracket into lower bracket, then back up, it's a roller coaster. But the final sprint is now.
And we do have some seriously good duos competing tonight. We should talk about King and FaZe because they were in the upper bracket earlier. They unfortunately were not able to grab one of those 25 spots in the finals. But hopefully they're going to find what it takes to make it through tonight, because this is a duo that you've described as being a bit hot and cold, Levin.
Yeah, it's just not been quite the season I think people would have hoped for them since moving, you know, from Brazil to EU, and it's understandable if you haven't much experience with teams in EU history who have, you know, moved from other regions over. It's never an easy transition, and I think that they've really felt that, Mini.
Yeah, they have, and it was a big test for them earlier on today in that upper bracket. We saw them going down to Surge more often than not. That was their biggest problem, which is kind of contrary to what we've seen from them throughout the whole season. It seems like they were a little bit more eager and willing to take risks earlier on this season resulted in one of them usually going down before the end game. I think earlier on they just turned all that off. They just took it all away and they thought, right, we're going to be really, really reserved, but they haven't quite developed enough of a play style, enough of a game plan to actually make that work for them. So that results in them being below on Surge. We saw King trying to clutch up a few moments as well, but just wasn't quite to be. So for this duo, big moment here for them. If they can qualify to grand finals, that'd be a great storyline for them as their first season.
Minnie, just sticking with you, are there any other duos that you are particularly excited to watch? Any duos you think, if they do not get through to next weekend, I will eat my proverbial hat?
Yes, no hats to eat, but I think Trulets and Chicho will certainly be a team that I'm going to be looking at. I think this is a duo that we've looked at all season. They haven't had the best season, Levin. They've been switching up drop spots, and now they're landing back at the reels in the center of the map. So whether they'll be able to rekindle some of that success that we've seen from them before, I don't know. Big moments for them, and of course not qualifying for that upper bracket is going to harm them maybe mentally. How are they going to approach that? It seems like whenever their back is up against the wall, though, they seem to perform. They're pressure teams, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, they won 2 games in a row at the Global Championship, so it's one of those teams that can perform under the big pressure.
They did. I was wearing high heels and I had to keep running back to them on that massive stage in Copenhagen. And you know what? I don't regret a single second. We are now ready to kickstart the lobby for the lower bracket. So let's head to our amazing casters. Last seen on the Grand Glacier, it's Jacob PR and Takata.
Thanks, Frankie. Look, this is it. The last chance, the last opportunity. The battle bus is ready. Let's get into game 1.
Enough yapping, let's get right to the action. And this is going to be a big day for teams. The last chance, only 15 spots available for that grand finals. And already yesterday, you saw action happen very quickly. In the upper bracket, though, things have slowed down massively. And I expect that to continue here in the lower bracket.
We don't have to wait long at all for any action, as now Howley, Nefrizzy up against Mongrel and Savage. Who is going to get the weapon? Who is going to get the chest? It's Howley, but he gets shot at. It's Savage chasing him down.
That's going to be a good amount of opening damage. Not trying to let him get the big pot that I do think he might have saw him grab. And this is where it's going to get very risky to continue the chase. They're below ground, 1 level underneath at the first floor of the building. Howley takes the first couple of shots. Savage doing good, grabbing these angles. Mongrel hot on his heels, making sure you don't take the fight alone. But Savage is going to go down. Mongrel stuck by himself. 136 effective shield and HP, but he's in a 1v1 now. Somehow, some way, Nefrizzy gets traded off, and it's Mongrel. He's actually going for the revive first.
1 versus 1. The issue is there's another duo, and they know there's an engagement going on. They are just waiting for the right opportunity to strike in the third party, as Mongrel now has the HP and shield advantage.
Yeah, the question is, did that third party see Mongrel actually go down, or I should say Savage by himself? That's gonna be a great opportunity to third party 2 different solos, but I don't think they have that much information. Howley knows the revive is trying to be had. He quickly breaks through the build to at least scare him off. He wants to let it go through in terms of an elimination, but Mongrel knows it's not gonna be easy. Runs back up, finishes the fight against Howley, saves the day, but Kovacs and Stan are not too far off.
Will they take the decision to go push this engagement? They saw the feed. They saw that a player from each duo was knocked, but it's not enough to give them the confidence to go in.
Great start, Mongrel and Savage. Even Kovacs and Stan, you can add them to that mix as well. They were able to steal away one of those 2 eliminations. At least 4 points. Surge, not a bunch because it was an off-spawn battle, but at least something to get their game going.
DKS Vox now. Down by Ritzy. Looks like they do have a potential engagement here off the start, but it's nothing that they're in an urgency to go for. Right now, focus is loot up, farm up, and take shots when you can to get that damage.
And you're seeing Vox kind of save those EMP grenades. And the reason why is he's waiting for that team to move off, and then he's going to go over to the vending machine, use those to get gold. Unless they push him, then he would use them on the offensive end, but that's going to be the primary kind of use for them in this situation. King, Phaser, Reckless, Railways already going to claim that as their own. You see them kind of leaving the vault. Gotta imagine they have the Mythic Hyper SMG and the Medallion with them as well. Question is, are they going to go for the Forecast Tower? Are they brave enough for that, or just continue on with the rest of their game without it?
I mean, this is huge. it's so early on, but it looks like, I wonder if they got most of Reckless on Con, as it seems they've taken the NPC quite quickly here. There is a duo close by. You said it yourself. Next objective now, after you get out of your off-spawn engagements, is looking for that forecast tower. And next up, the combat caches. So rotates are already beginning now. Mishatini already with mobility.
And they're looking in the direction of that forecast tower. But I do see a team already boxed up in that position. So it's going to be a huge risk if anybody tries to move over and contest them. But it's a risk that could be worth it. Day 2 yesterday, Pink and Vico fought for it all day long. And in the final moments in the 5th game, they used that to propel themselves to victory. Plus a good clutch. Everybody here being able to see that, steal some strategies. Anything that you can to kind of get yourself as far as possible. Noya Heine pushing a team off, but it's just that persistence, the annoyance from that team getting the last couple shots before they fully disengage.
Shots back and forth. If we look at the upper bracket, the 3 games that were played prior to this, it was top 25 to qualify, but if we look at top 15, it was 94 points. So if we're using that as a basis, it should be close to 100 points to make it into that top 15 here and qualify to the grand finals. So there's quite a lot of work to do, but if you start off with 8 points just from those 2 eliminations like Putusai and Snazy, it already gives you a good start to the race.
And you got to imagine, since it was an off-spawn battle, they at least have 200 damage in terms of surge, maybe more depending on how it went. But Stan Kovacs rotated away from the ship at station. Nitrox, Fishy, they catch one person off guard. They make it look easy. Now Kovacs gonna be stuck by himself. A monster shot can be fired. Now they're fighting through the window. Kovacs is trying to get away, but it's not going to be enough. He gets taken down with ease, and it's actually Fast Roki out of nowhere. You don't even see him on the minimap that was able to steal that one away.
Good way to finish it off. We'll take a look at the forecast tower now, though. Spinaldo, his duo partner. Looks like with no elims on the board, they might have just got it free. They were the first ones there. Nobody wants to contest them. This is going to give them that advantage to see where the circles appear before they actually do. Kind of like a little head start to rotate early. So it's going to be good for them.
Yep, one of many forecast towers around the map. Kronos, Spinaldo claim it as themselves. And that's what happens when you get there early. You're able to base up and kind of claim it as your own. Robon and Axe Force not too far away from Snooty Steps, claiming yet another one of our forecast towers around the map. And that's why I'm looking at these teams. They're able to think much more into the future because of the forecast tower. So hopefully their game plan can match the amount of information that they're gathering here.
'79 players up, 40 duos. The first match of uppers was the most stacked match we've seen throughout the qualifiers and the semifinals. But if we look back at Kiaro Gabix, Lavish Lair, looks like it's theirs now.
Yeah, and what a great start to their game here in game 1. Really setting themselves up, and there's really not too many teams around Lavish Layer as well, so they can go ahead and loot up as much as possible before they go ahead and rotate on over. But there are a few teams in the distance. It's not as clear as one would hope. There's one going to be right in front of them, and maybe they heard those shots coming over from Lavish Layer, and you can see that they're looking in that direction. They may not know exactly where they're at, but they know something's up.
Big shields coming through. Good amount of med kits. We've seen how powerful heal-offs can be in the last moments of these matches. So it's very good if you're able to get those heals early and not have to rely on eliminations in the late game to secure them. As now, even with those extra elims, that damage, it opens up a lot more flexibility on your rotations. And look at Chicho. What a nice position here. So much vision of all the duos that are going to be rotating through here shortly.
Yeah, they were one of the few teams as well that switched up their drop spot, landing Hazy Hillside in the beginning, upper bracket, going up against, I think it was Pablo and Bevies. They got pushed off. They eventually switched up their drop over towards Ruined Wheels, and now they kind of give themselves more room to work with, a little bit more center towards the zone. You can see the amount of material they're able to gather because they build a monument in the sky to try to help with their surge plan. And that's one of the things I feel like they were lacking on their way to some of those end games is the surge. But like I said before, this is probably one of the harder lobbies you're going to find surge in. throughout the weekend.
Joe taking some shots from both angles here. Forced to use materials on the rotate. It's better that than using a lot of consumables, especially ones you can refarm up. This is why a lot of times you see duos kind of basing up alongside buildings or even rocks or anything that you can refarm your materials that you used on the rotate. But be careful, as that crash pad flowberry combo might have just landed you onto a surprise, but not a dangerous one yet.
Yeah, weapon caches are spawning, so you see why everybody else is doing their best to try to at least make it to the edge of zone, where a lot of the weapon caches are going to be boxed up. Phaser King still around Reckless Railways. This time they are going to be in a fight against Shakos and Skydune. They don't like what they see, so they immediately try to disengage, and they go and do so almost unscathed, which is surprising since the position that they were in not too long ago. And they immediately set up shop once again towards Reckless. They were able to get the zone early on, and they're trying to get the most out of it as they can.
King and Phaser, one of my favorite duos coming in today. They have a lot of experience on their home region in Brazil. I mentioned it earlier, but I'll mention it again. Chapter 2, Season 4, 11 VRs out of 12 matches played out in the qualifiers. They took it home. They have that consistency. They have that potential. But in a new home ground, are they going to be able to do something similar? They placed incredibly well in the first week of the qualifiers at 33, but they're the opposite in the second week. Now that it's their last chance to make it to the grand finals, will they be able to make something happen?
Yeah, just going to have to figure out a way to get just a little bit more consistent throughout this next 3 games. No longer winning you're in, it's just top 15. But it sounds a lot easier than it actually is. Psycho Rico just getting pressured, and they take him down solo by himself. That's just kind of the name of the game when you get caught off guard by a full aggressive team.
Looking back, Mongol Savage, in terms of loadout, it could be better for consumables. Ammunition is all right, but it's kind of on the edge here. Getting me a little stressed out, Jacob. I'm not gonna lie, but 4 points on the board. They already got that elimination right off the start. Continuing to farm up on the rotate. They're in a good position. A lot of duos in the surrounding area, but the issue is so many changes in elevation here. They want to get one that permits them to have that vision on the duos rotating through.
Almost seems like that off-spawn battle really costed them a lot, even though they did win and they're able to keep themselves alive. A lot of the materials lacking, empty item slots, not a lot of heals, so they're gonna have to figure out where they're gonna get those from, since it does look like they're just so far away from a possible weapon cache. That's not gonna be their plan, so they're gonna have to think about something and pull out some sort of trick underneath their sleeve if they're looking to come out on top. Uguay, Tino. Very, very similar thing, but they're just getting tagged up from all directions. Multiple opportunity to get shots with the smart pistol, but nobody is really kind of letting him get away with it.
Misha Tini crouched up together. Is this going to open up an opportunity for a couple eliminations? Tiny close by. You have to be careful which door you knock on, as his duo partner might have just had a quick peek, but I don't think he saw them, Jacob.
Probably heard him there, especially now that they fire back-to-back shots in a timely fashion. Misha, Teeny, see Heine running away, and they're just not getting over-aggressive. These are the strats that you kind of know this team for, but they're switching it up. They're throwing wrenches. Instead of doing it off spawn, instead of doing it exactly in the loop path, they're cutting out new teams every single time to try to find the elimination. And Heine tried to rotate to safety. He ends up going against Uguay and his duo against another box, and now he's fighting to keep himself alive in this game. Everything comes chopping down, tries to use the grapple blade. Damage going back and forth between the two, but he's still just majorly outnumbered here, and Uguay just won't give up on this pressure.
Chop, chop, keep coming through. Builds breaking down. The 2x FNCS champ now with another ELIP. Actually, first one on the board, but hopefully more to come. That's a quick 4 points, and that damage needed to lessen up the stress.
This is just the unfortunate thing. You just run away from one team, right into the palm of the hands of another. But I keep this game going. Demus, Serene, boxed up not too far away from Blaha and Yapko. But neither team realistically in zone, so they still got more ground to cover. Even if they want to cover that ground because it does look like Yapko Blaha getting a little comfortable in that position. I thought so. They don't want to take that risky fight, especially when they're this close to zone already. They're going to rotate and try to gatekeep anybody out as soon as they find a spot they're comfortable with.
You can see the amount of duos checking out the bottom right on the mini-map that are rotating through here. You might be able to hide in the bush. You might be able to build a box, but once you get cracked, the pressure is on. The focus is on you. That's quickly replacing those wooden structures to metal ones. That's going to make it a lot safer. But right now, these duos are just looking for trades, looking for damage. They do not want to get eliminated here.
And by getting damage here in situations that you at least have some control over, just allows you to do just that. Keep control of your game instead of being below surge. So many times today alone in the upper bracket, we've seen teams forced to go for a fight in which they might not have chosen to make if they were above on that surge. So it's very, very important throughout the course of the game, whether you're rotating or not, behind zone or not, to figure out a way to get that surge one way or another. Podesai by himself. Did see Snazy go down in the feed. So he's going to be stuck as a solo. The only question we have for ourselves is, does he have Snazy's reboot card? Because we've seen plenty of attempts throughout the weekend.
Podesai, it's all up to you. Duo partner has been knocked out. Looking so strong off the start with the 2 elims. But Jacob, we've seen miracles happen this weekend from the triple reboot. Murstache Malabuka. I would not be surprised if we see something similar happen here. As you can see, the duos once again positioned in their elevated locations, just hunting for that damage.
Yeah, you can see them really not peeking. Usually in the beginning of the game, you split a POI. You kind of feel a little bit more comfortable peek, trade those shots, especially knowing you have extra heals down below or even in your inventory. Everybody at this stage, they're susceptible to sniper shots, getting beamed by multiple teams, so it's just a huge risk. And if you don't need the storm surge, which some of these teams don't, it might be better not to peek through unless you kind of use a cone and are trying to gather any information that you can.
Setting up. Crash pad Flowberry rotate, but your opponent saw it. They're taking shots. Be careful. All it takes is one and the crash pad gets taken out. They keep trying, but they're unable to. 142, 90 below. This is getting more and more stressful, Jacob.
Yeah, that would have been such a great opportunity to get the surge, crash pad, land on a team, make it possible. Now the only one within distance that they're trying to run, DKS, they spot him out, but they're still trying to make their way forward. Sky Jump, Sky Dune, they're close by as well. Still 58 below the damage threshold. There's a couple teams that still need to go down as well.
Big pots getting put to good use here. You can see it's Vox close by, DKS, and in front of them, another duo taking pop shots. They're figuring out, you know, what's the play? We got to do something. 25 below, it's not a lot of damage. You don't need eliminations here. You can just take some shots, a small box fight without committing anything too risky. But as the duos from afar continue applying the pressure, Axe-Force puts himself in a dangerous situation, opening up the potential of getting boxed, going straight on Endo. Can they secure the elims from this? They do.
That is a massive win. Not only does it settle the storm surge, they're not gonna have no loot anymore because they found a weapon cache that had just opened when they got there. So the other team didn't really get a chance to utilize it just yet. Perfect timing from Roban. Let's see what he can do as he gets back into this game. King stuck by himself, trying to box himself up into a bush. Belusi not too far off on the other side. In fact, a lot of teams as King finds himself as close to the center as you could possibly be without actually being there.
I don't like the looks of this, having lost a teammate. But we know what King is capable of. All it takes is a decent amount of points. They have 3 opportunities, Jacob. There's 3 matches to be played out. It's not like the previous 2 days where it's a winner-takes-all golden ticket format from the Victory Royale. It's just consistency. You need to be consistent. But when you're missing damage, when you're missing a duo partner, when you don't have those med kits, a lot of those shields, it just makes it increasingly more difficult.
Yeah, I really don't know where King is going to be able to get this surge and go through unscathed. That's going to be the thing. Even center of zone, I think teams are starting to notice he is a solo, and they go ahead and try to aggress towards the box side of the box into the bush. He tries to drop down low into safety, but it's not as safe as he thought. Arc lands a good shot. I did believe Stacey Podeside putting some shots in that direction as well. Prism is going to be able to get a knock onto another player. King still finding a way to stay alive, but they know exactly where he's at, and they continue to put down that pressure. A lot of his builds being expended along the way as well. The luckily thing for him is he's 62 above the damage threshold now because of that team pushing up onto him. If he could just figure out a way to stay alive, this will be huge for King and Phaser.
The 60s drop down to 30, though. Is it going to keep dropping? As luckily enough, it goes back up to 82. King might just be able to hold on here. 58 players up still in this 7th zone. You can see, though, it's pulled back to the Snowy Mountains, southeast side of the map. The majority of the duos have to make a far rotate.
See replay, 67 above. It's not a ton of surge, but it's not just one elimination he was able to get. It was 2. And he's saved the day. Hopefully he can get Yapko back up and back into the game. See Spinaldo on the side, forecast tower. Hopefully it's been used very fruitfully for him in his rotations. He's just on the side of the mountain, so got to imagine so. Savage Mongrel, not too far off, but still not in the best position. No heals onto Mongrel. Got to imagine the same thing for Savage, especially with DKS going and boxing up right above them. I feel like their thought right now, Scotty, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is where are we going to find elimination? Because we need heals.
The good news is, due to the far pull, almost a majority of the lobby has to do a far rotate. If they could only elevate themselves up a bit more, it's just too late now with all the duos in the surrounding area. They need a bit more vision of these duos rotating in to take those shots. Although they do hear some action close by, they're wondering, can we drop down one of them? Can we find something? It's King, though, that's lost his shield. The pressure is on him, 80 below as well. Nothing is in King's favor in the moment.
Yeah, he's even running out of builds. The only thing he really has going for him is the medallion. So all the time he was able to buy, he's able to stagger and get himself back up. Finds Lunix at the backside of zone. He needs those materials. Great play for him to be aware enough to pick those up. He still has the 1 med kit in his inventory. And since he is a solo, these are important impact points at the end of the day, after the end of the 3 games. Depending on where they're positioned, we look at a game like this and what King is able to do.
Huge impact from King, instantly building 2 metal boxes here, making sure he's secured enough to pop this med kit. Now he's been put 162 above. With all odds against King's favor, he's still making something happen.
Yeah, and he's saving those 7 ticks from the Flowberry Fizz for his rotation, save a lot of those builds. It's a sacrifice in terms of the shield and HP, so it does make him susceptible to 1 shot. But those are the risks you're willing to take, especially as a solo. Blaha, same position, looking towards the backside of zone, spots out a couple teams, and this is where he has to make the perfect decision of when and where to rotate. You rotate too early, you become the focus of the lobby. You rotate too late, same thing happens.
Blaha now is seeing all the rotations come through. He has the freedom to kind of wait a little bit and decide more on the rotate rather than just taking blind shots. Mongrel, though, getting boxed up with opponents, but it doesn't matter. Those are eliminations for him. 2 on the board now, 102 above, and picked up 3 medkits. This is massive.
Yeah, what a find it was. Mythic loot as well. Not sure if the medallion was able to be dropped there, but that would have been a huge find if it does. Medkits being used. You're seeing him kind of get dished around. Mongrel passing those on over to Savage. King still alive. He was able to get out of a tough spot moments ago, above the damage threshold, and he's keeping things moving. Finally, he's gotten himself some placement points, but there's still about 10, 15 teams he's out to outlast to make this solo run worth it.
I've seen this before, Jacob. It might have been in a dream, but I've seen King pop off in these situations. Already 186 above, somehow has made it into zone from the situation he was in earlier on. 64 builds to work with. He could use a bit more shields, but it's nothing a refresh can't help.
And you see Axe Force and Roban. Not ultimate high ground just yet, but they are on the front side of zone. They have the first sense of that high ground, the biggest elevated team. King gets pressured again, and it's the medallion that is the biggest difference keeping King alive. That Reckless Railways off-spawn drop that they got uncontested this game is paying dividends.
Zone keeps pulling east. It could have A drastic change in elevation if it continues to do so. Blaha, 59 below now. He was comfortable earlier on, but is forced to take shots now as the number keeps increasing. The pressure keeps increasing as well. And he's going to be able, or he's going to have to make something happen shortly here.
Yep, late rotate with the grapple blade going up the mountain. For a lot of teams, that is going to be a nightmare, but he's just trying to get to the front side, find somebody, but it's he who gets found. Shot is going to drain his shields just like that, while Savage and Mongrel fighting for the high ground, going up against Belusi, but they choose not to continue to engage in this just yet. They're holding their position before they figure out what's next.
Now at second height. Will they go ahead? Will they look back for shots? Are they trying to chop? What is the game plan here? And it's King that's still up with another knock. Another 4 points on the board once he secures the elimination, but he goes down with 22.
That is huge considering when Phaser went down, there were no points on the board for them. Blaha trying to do the same thing. 28 so far, 3 eliminations, and still finding a way to stay towards the front side of the zone. Has to be careful though. Doesn't want anybody to know he's a solo because that is going to be an easy elimination if they try to 2v1 into the box. Savage, Mongrel still finding a way to slide through a lot of these builds and stay alive. This is going to be huge for their points on that leaderboard.
Waterfall down the mountain in this current zone. You have to be careful if you're elevated. You can't use that grapple blade to drop down, and it's going to be exactly what Savage and Mongrel are doing here, but they're still hungry for high ground. They're looking for that shot to connect. If Mongrel can land a headshot with his sniper, it could be game-changing.
Persistence is going to be the name of the game, and that's exactly what they're doing. Finally, everything comes crashing down. Shots being fired. A couple are going to connect from Mongrel, and this is their chance. They go ahead and grab it for a moment, but they instantly lose it as they get chopped down, but they're not giving up. Savage trying to take it from the backside. Mongrel from the front. They Savage Belusi. The damage is there, but Mongrel gets dropped all the way to the low ground, once again leaving Savage as a solo.
Savage, though, took out Belusi, has that elim on the board. Issue is no materials, has to hide. 1 med kit, can play the heal off, goes for the finish. 4 extra points, materials now secured. Not much, though. Climbing up the mountain, can he hold on?
A huge switch up from their upper bracket run where they failed to qualify to the grand finals by 1 point. Those eliminations would have qualified them, so better late than never. Heal off beginning on the side of the mountain. Teeny just trying to give himself a fighting chance. Everybody else other than Savage is towards the backside of zone, continuing to slide down, but there's no builds. Can't protect himself. Roban's gonna be the first one trying to challenge him on that high ground. Gavix is second. Grapple blade is gonna be used by Savage and go up and over to stay alive.
Savage, are you kidding me right now? He continues to climb as there's just 1 player left in the zone, healing off. And it looks like if Savage can stay up, it's Teeny. 1 grapple blade, 2. Will he be able to make it back? Savage, cancel him and takes the VR.
8 eliminations for Mongrel and Savage and a huge VR to take the game. It's been almost 2 years, Takata, since we've seen Mongrel on the FNCS stage, and man, it's like riding a bike. He still got it.
What a way to start off the day. Mr. Savage and Mongrel feeling extra confident now with that boost in the first match. With 2 more games to go, all they got to do is hold their crown.
And you got to imagine, once you go through an upper bracket like we've seen to start the day off and fail to qualify by 1 point, 1 placement, 1 elimination would have changed the tides for them. But they're definitely making up for it by starting off big in the lower bracket with a huge VR, and it came through because of their aggression, because of their ability to take risks.
97 points. The cutoff for top 15 in the uppers was 94, and they are already close.
Yep, this one here is going to be a close race for the next couple of games. Takata with a huge win by Mongrel and Savage. You have to imagine they're at the top of the leaderboard, but who else is there with them inside of that top 15? I'm going to throw it on over to our lovely analyst to break down game 1.
Thank you so much, guys. You just couldn't write this one better, could you? What a scripted performance from Mongrel and Mr. Savage. Mongrel putting up numbers on the board, and Savage being the solo clutch superstar that we know him and love him for, Mini Minor.
Let's go! What a huge, huge game for these guys. Of course, came painstakingly close to qualifying to grand finals already in the upper bracket today. I was interested. I was like, how are these guys going to respond? What are the vibes going to be like? How are they going to start? And Levin, I mean, they couldn't have got off to a better start here in the lower bracket.
The script is nuts. I mean, you really, really couldn't could not have written it any better, man. And wow, what a game to do it as well. Mongrel fragging out. Like, he's putting every hater there is, including myself, to rest and saying, no, look, I can hold my weight in this team. And then Savage seeing that going, okay, look, I respect you. Thank you for putting in the work. Let me close out the game now. Just perfect. Absolutely perfect. And you've got to think this is a huge, huge boost for them.
It was really exciting to see them going for hype, but also then going, okay, actually, no, we're going to step back. We're not going to go for it just yet. And then Savage knowing exactly where to go, because he was on a completely different side of the zone to everyone else in the end game, and it paid off dividends, Levin.
Yeah, I mean, look, the journey for them this whole game, you know, started off rough, right? They started off contested, they win the off-spawn battle, and then so it's, you know, it's sort of like we make sure we make the most of this game, right? We can't afford to let games slip out of our hands. And then the height take, right? You see them chop a height, you're thinking, oh my goodness, things are going well, but then it doesn't quite go as planned. Mongrel ends up getting sort of taken out, trying to take it. You see him hit those shots here thinking, yes, but then he goes down. Savage like, okay, it's time to clutch up. We've seen Savage clutch up so many times in Fortnite history, Mini-Miner.
Yeah, we have, and I think it was not going to be a height take for the history books. It's not the most beautiful height take that was well structured, but what it did was it did enough to just ruffle the feathers of the high ground team to where nobody really had height. So even when Savage had to drop down, go for that refresh, he could still then grapple all the way back up and maintain that high ground position. So really nice stuff from that duo. And we saw, of course, you mentioned they're contested off spawn. That was one of their big problems in the last sort of session that we had was Storm Surge. They solved those problems by making sure they could take that team out off spawn, and Jacob mentioned it, a little bit more risky, and it's paid off.
Yeah, let's take a look at the leaderboard, because there are some notable solos at the end of that particular game. Obviously, Teeny being one of them, losing his partner Mishia earlier in the game. But obviously, I mean, we've one game in it. It's only really reasonable that Mishia and Tina would be in second, especially as we know this is a duo that consistently can put up the numbers, Levin, in terms of eliminations.
Absolutely, and they showed us some classic Misha and Teeny, you know, sneaky beaky like plays throughout this game, so it was good to see them up there in the standings. If you take a look at some of the players down, right, of course we are going to be looking for 15th, right? That's the cutoff in terms of who makes it now to the grand finals, and Trulitz and Chicho currently sitting in that spot, Mini.
Yeah, that's the current threshold, but it's early days and it's early doors, of course. I want to highlight FaZe and King right there. Another classic game for them, it seems like, this season, where FaZe goes down early and King is left to solo clutch. Didn't quite go the full way. I think he got something like 15, something like that in that last game, but still did a really, really good job taking out some players, getting some nice eliminations. So they're setting themselves up. They're keeping themselves in it, most importantly, after the first game, because things can get rough for this team, and I really want to see them in grand finals.
I like how you said classic. I was gonna classic, not in a good way though, man. Like,
no,
you know,
not at all. No, bad classic.
I don't want to see that, man. I want to see them together in endgame, fragging out, man. I don't want to see them, you know, solo clutching and this and that.
Yeah.
I want to see them together because, yeah, when things are clicking, they have shown at times that you want to see them make it be a wonderful story, but they have to earn it, and that comes with the next two games.
I know what you really want to see, Levin. You want to see King riding that train again.
Look, it was brief, right? I'm a fan of train rotates. You threw me off there a bit. I didn't know where you're going with that, but I do know what you're talking about. Yes, train rotates will always get a thumbs up from me.
I didn't have you down as a train spotter. When we were listening in the green room, as soon as we saw the observers cut to King jumping off the train, Levin was like, ooh, train rotation.
It wasn't for long. He sort of just danced through it. I thought he was like going to stay on it, you know, sort of for a bit longer, but he just sort of passed through. But, you know, it counts in my book.
Well, fingers crossed we get to see more train rotations. We've got 2 more games left, so there's not many chances, let's face it. Mini-Miner, for this next game, I guess eyes might be on Misha and Teeny, because actually when we look to the upper bracket games, they've been one of the more consistent duos.
Yeah, this is a duo that have what it takes to find consistency, I think, and getting off to a good start for this team is going to be really, really good, because if there's anyone in the lobby that I back to have those consistent performances now for the last 2 games, it will be them. They don't try and rush things. We know how they like to play, of course, just sneaking around on the island, sneaking around caches, and just being a very sneaky, beaky team that we have to look out for. So now that they've got that in their back pocket, if you like, those points that are now boosted them up towards that qualification spot, I think they're going to be offered a little bit more freedom to try and make some more risky plays that should hopefully keep them there.
Can we also give a quick shout out before we go into game to Axforce and Robin as well. It feels like every dramatic moment we've seen this evening, they've been at the center of it, Levin. Do they have what it takes to break through and stay in that top 15?
Yeah, absolutely. You look at Robin, historically, he's always been a player that is sort of in there, right? You expect to see him there. It's funny because I feel like his best performances have always come when he's uber aggressive, just trying to frag out, destroy the whole lobby. And he's always like, yeah, I actually don't like playing that way, though. And I'm like, well, maybe we should try playing it that way more, Maybe it brings results, so who knows? Let's see.
All right, well, the trains are coming down the tracks, and I want to beat Levin to the last seat on it because we've got 2 more games remaining with Takata and Jacob PR. Choo-choo.
After that last game, I made sure to grab my seat early because this is entertainment at its finest. We're talking about scripts, Takata. I didn't know we were starring in a movie featuring Mongrel and Mr. Savage the way they were playing in game 1. But if this movie continues, what is the next story for Takata? And let us know right after this because the game 2 starts now.
Next story I'm looking for, Jacob. King Phaser. New region coming from Brazil, qualifying to grand finals in their first tournament here in Europe. It's what I want to see. Such an electric way to start game 1 with a massive victory royale from a fan favorite duo. Will the momentum continue forwards is the question.
Yeah, they did a good job. Particularly King was able to pick up 22 solo impact points. We know how often one game just like that changes the tides, but Howley with the first couple of shots onto Savage, but Frizzy goes down in the blink of an eye. Howley's trying to alleviate some of that pressure, but he's not able to finish off the elimination onto Savage. He's finally going to reunite with Mongrel, and we know there is a huge strength in numbers as we've seen so many times.
Savage was basically at 1 HP, and he was still able to take out Frizzy, but be careful. Howley now jumped down to 10, gets eliminated. But were those shots from a third party? They were. Kovacs on the hill taking shots. Will this be the match that they choose to go in for the third party?
I don't know if this is on purpose, but the way they moved around these builds and that third party in back-to-back games, it's almost like they're baiting their opponents out into the open to where those shots are susceptible. You see another fight being won. Switching on over to Moneymaker and Fanayan. Contested on this side of the map. Something that they didn't have to face in the upper bracket to start the day. So now they're facing adversity. And their plan here this game was land on top of that launch pad. Try to get some loot early and some damage. And then we can continue down if we got them weak enough. But with the lack of shots and the lack of damage, they can no longer contest it like they planned.
Flying away. Seeing what they're going to be able to pick up along this rotate now. 1 pistol in hand, 1 little hyper SMG. As we switch over to Phaser and King. Last match, it looked like they had Reckless Railways almost to themselves. And it looks like it's going to continue being the case.
Back-to-back games, and it almost looked like the only team that even has a real shot to shoot in that direction is the one that's consistently going for the forecast tower uncontested on that side. See how it pays off for them. Back-to-back games. Darky's already down. Akers is solo as well. He's just trying to go ahead and even the fight. Nice damage there. He still hasn't been able to pick up the loot just yet, so he has to be careful if he continues to try to extend forward to snatch it away. And I think throughout that process, Darkus went ahead and grabbed it for himself. Try to go ahead and pack a punch. You can see he outmatches Nakers when it comes to the builds, the material, and the utility.
1v1 situation. You said it, outmatches shields as well. 26, just 1 more left. Or 1 more mini, sorry. To get back to 50 shield, but still at a disadvantage. The shots continue connecting, but neither player is going all in. Does Nakers know that he has that advantage? He's waiting for the big shot. Darkus had the opportunity, but he missed.
That was a great outside of the box thinking as he moved towards the side. He overstepped his welcome into Darkus' box, but unable to really connect the shot as they continue to trade back and forth, back and forth. And even though Nakers doesn't really have any shields to regain, he's doing a good job of whittling away at his opponent 1 shot at a time.
5 shield breaker EMPs. Drop for some bandages. Now has AR, shotgun, and SMG. But it looks like they no longer want to have this fight. Grapple Blade to get out of here. 3 builds. He's going to need to farm.
Yeah, but at least he gave himself a chance by disengaging. Got to imagine the opponent he was going up against probably doing the same thing. With only 2 games left, depending on where you're at on the leaderboard, you want to have a calm, cool, collected game. Not too much noise to be made, but everybody else below that line gonna have to get a little bit more active, begin to come online. Podesai Snazy towards Grand Glacier. They loot the outskirts before they continue moving forward, and that's something Podesai and Snazy have been known for. They don't necessarily claim a top POI, but they still figure out a way to have consistent performances as Moneymaker's under siege. 2 different angles, both of them, him and F9, are gonna get dropped down low.
Chexy going right in, trying to close this out as Moneymaker F9 quickly backing up, looking to see if they can hit shots on the aggressors. Changing positions to up above, going for a replace. Edit comes through, no shot though. As Chexy continues, looking for an angle.
Yeah, it was a little close there for a moment, but quick on his feet, quick thinking. Tries to get the floor replaced, but Moneymaker's there waiting. Third party as well. Finally, those shots come in. There's even a 4th party slowly but surely in the distance. Like everybody here on this position has to be careful, but the 3rd party spotted out the 4th party, so they know and they're aware. There's a 5th party coming in. I don't know where the invitations went because I didn't get one.
Where's our invite, Jacob? Where's our invite? You can see. Looks like the engagement's actually going through right now. I feel like a duo's fighting right outside the area, but Moneymaker F9, they're not interested. They want to refarm up. They have the whole building to farm. For Chicho, though, I'm curious to... Oh, I was going to say, I'm curious to where Trulex is, but it looks like he's spectating. As now, what's on Chicho's task list is a reboot from Misha Tini, though. Danger, 70 HP, no shield. Tini has been eliminated.
Man, they switched up their drops yet again. They started off at Grand Glacier, moved over to fencing. Unfortunately, the result is the same. They go down early on in this game, and they're kind of leaving up to the last hope. Our 3rd and final game of the lower bracket. 92 points, though. Not too bad. They got to be feeling comfortable. Ricky, though, Dre, still trying to maneuver through this minefield that is fencing fields. A lot of teams moving over in this direction, especially the longer that Medallion stays up. Luckily, they were able to capture it before any more teams took notice.
Ricky, Dre, now playing sneaky. All it really takes is one big hit, especially from an epic hammer pump shotgun like Ricky has here, to do enough damage to permit him to go straight on in, head first to his opponent. But it looks like it's not going to be needed. Going right back up to the roof, going back to position where they can look around and kind of get a good sense of where the duos are, who's rotating in the area, and how they can safely move forwards.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they were actually able to capture the medallion, the loot. This is what you typically see some teams do that land around fencing fields. They try to kind of camp it out, knowing that if you're going to go ahead and use that medallion to try to get into the vault, you're going to have to go through us first. Fury was the one that looks like he was able to claim it, but he is a solo. He's just trying to survive here, get his teammate back into the game. And even if they don't go for the vault now, they can always circle back if the zone does pull full away from fencing fields.
They do have that mythic Striker AR, spare shields on deck, and all these duos now are continuing to rotate through fencing. There's a lot more than there were before. If they just stay up top, they should have quite a few angles to take shots, just like Tajinio and Uguay. Although there's just not as many duos on this side of the map. Up by Lavish Lair, more towards the north side here.
Tinio and Uguay, solid performances to make it here. They just need to push themselves even further. We've seen them third-party teams. We ended up seeing them box fight a couple of teams come out on top, just trying to return to form. Just about going that extra mile. Heine did a good job in the last couple of days on the weekend just to make it this far. You saw him go down in game one, him and his teammate. Similar fight just like this, but Slove getting third-partied. The confidence slowly but surely goes out the window. Pressure is still there. They know that he's the one that's weak. They don't necessarily know about the team down below.
3 duos in the area. A sandwich is being made as X-Sweeze, Slove forced to trade up some med kits. Fizz each other up. Get back to business.
Seeing some crash pads come out. Xqueeze and Slove just trying to rotate out of this congestion over towards Classy Courts. Not too far away from the zone, but it's the threat of how many potential teams, not even just the ones that you know about, are going to be nearby. You see Xqueeze just getting tagged up, still trying to disengage on out of this. I like the thought not to use the grapple blade, because that would have even made him even easier to tag out of the sky. Still farming along the way. Great position for Xqueeze and Slove, as I think they've actually officially disengaged out of this to continue on with their FNCS journey.
Yapko in a bush. He just got shot, I don't know from where, but people always now, as they rotate, if they have the ammunition for it especially, will be bush checking, making sure that there's no sneaky duos looking for an opportunity to strike. This Blaha Yapko now will move forward towards this launch pad and hopefully get a clean rotate in. But when you are flying like that, you're open to shots by all the duos that are already boxed up looking at you. Although good news is Blaha did not get cracked, but Yapko, on the other hand, barely made it through.
Plenty of heals to go around, though, at least for now at this stage in the game. Weapon caches starting to appear. It's the next stage where teams are going to begin to fight for on the edge of zone, even if they're deep enough. Blaha and Yapko close to another team. They could split a cache, and time will tell. As we jump into another fight, Panda and Rico smushed down low to the low ground. Shaw, low key, they're going to be the ones to challenge them down low. The weapon cache, you can see what the prize is for any team that ends up on top.
Prize has already been taken, though, it seems, by Panda and Rico. So will low key and Shaw want to continue with this back and forth? I don't think so. They are in a more uncongested side of the zone here up north. So I'm curious how healthy they're feeling, as there's 85 players up still. Storm Surge will be hitting shortly. Being in the third zone, now closing towards the fourth in just 44 seconds.
Oh, that's why shots like that are important, even though it's not a massive one by any means. Still climbing up the Storm Surge leaderboard. And they're in zone as well, so they don't have to worry about Storm itself being an issue throughout the duration of this fight. But they have to be careful. There's another team seeing all this action coming in, the mini-map. They're closing in on the distance, and a couple more after that. So a potential for a 5-team battle royal fight on this side of the map is going to be real. So you got to be able to watch and be aware of everybody around you. Panda and Rico still not giving up, though, holding on to their pieces. Great defense coming out from them in this box fight.
Great hammer pump shotgun from Shaw. It's not bad, but it could be better. Be careful, though. Rico has been taken out. Could have been a sniper. It's one of the duos in the surrounding area. Third party, as they're going to be the ones capitalizing on it.
As Tino and Uruguay, slowly but surely, overall has been just that. Slowly build up their surge, not take everything all on at once.
Chap and Khan rotating along the edge of the zone here. There's only one duo in sight on the mini-map. They are looking quite healthy. Consumables, mats, HP and shield. They have most of it. Anything that's left, they can get it during the rotate. It's just damage that might be a concern. We'll see this shortly now. 79 players. But no, 231.
It's only zone 4, though, for a lot of the teams that don't have surge. Only one player needs to go down before it's no longer a problem. For others, you can see we're already positioned into the zone, high above the mountain, well off when it comes to surge, but they know how easily that can change throughout the course of the game if the zone does pull away and they're not able to get even more surge up until this point. As you see the leaderboard on the side, 21st place outside of that bubble. There's going to be a total of 20 points. So everybody here still has so much more work to do before they find comfortability, even though there's still another game left.
Right. It was 25 in the upper bracket here in day 3, but it's only top 15 in the lower bracket. These are literally the last 2 matches, the last 2 opportunities that these duos have to qualify to the grand finals.
See if he can get any shots. Not able to get the spot, so continues on where he left off before. Ultimate high ground, getting information just outside of the zone as well, so they can easily Flowberry Fizz and Grapple Blade to the zone and gain the elevation early.
Storm Surge is now active with 80 players up. Shakeoff and Skydune aren't going to be too worried about that. King and Phaser, you said it yourself. back in their home, Reckless Railways, although fifth zone has pulled more towards the east. The rotate will have to come through, but you don't have to go early. So many duos right now are looking for those tags, looking for Surge, and the last thing you want is for the pressure to be on you.
Off. Much get back into shape. Mahi, though, and his duo, Top Go, they were the ones that tried to aggress. But that was just because of the risk that they just took to try to get those shots. And that's what you have to do. If you're not able to find it on rotation, you see a lot of teams boxed up. Sometimes you just got to knock on the door.
Depends on the other side of that door, though. If it was Phaser and King, it wouldn't go too well for me. But there's a lot of veterans. These are the best of the EU region competing here today. And for the duos like Top Co, who now have to make this rotate through the storm. So many players are still inside of the zone. It's just going to make it that much more difficult if you rotate late.
Even though they fall a little bit lower than where they were on Storm Surge, it's great to see them so far ahead compared to some of the typical games they have been having up until this point, but they become the focus momentarily. They have to stagger themselves on the edge of the zone. And if you know exactly where we're pulling towards Grand Glacier, the mountain ridges, this one could be drastic if it continues to pull that way and teams aren't prepared.
You want to be on the opposite side of the zone here. You want to be the one with the higher elevation, but luckily enough, 6th zone so far has appeared on the Reckless Railways side. Will it continue to pull towards the west, though, is the main question that these players have right now. Ruban, Axe Force, 1 Elam on the board. They were in an engagement here. It doesn't look like anything came from it previously, but look at that. Quick pickings, 1 more knock. Can they make it 2?
Literally just one damage above the threshold for now. They done literally barely enough to go ahead and find some comfortability as it finally loads up, clicks in, see what the damage is really like here in this situation. And with Storm Surge active here in the 6th zone, it's not going to deactivate until 54 players are left. That's about 15, 16 or so players that need to go down. So everybody like Blaha and Mixit are in such a tough spot because they knew that they find themselves ahead here, they can easily fall right back below with so many players still left alive.
Desperate is what they are now, causing them to make these quick decisions like jumping into opponents' boxes, but it could lead to their demise, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Yup, go Blaha gone, but it's going to be King and Phaser that capitalize on that situation and get the extra loot.
Yeah, perfect find. Even though it wasn't a ton of loot that they needed, it was more so the Storm Surge. You saw them falling down that leaderboard little by little during their last rotation. Now they're right back on up in better shape than they were before because now they have all these extra mats, all these extra resources, everything that they need and more to continue to move forward into the next stage of the game. And you can see everybody around them that kind of took what we were talking about, the mountain ridges, they prepared for it. And that's why the east side is so stacked at this point in time.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up. You can tell the experience of this lobby with the amount of duos that have based up around the east side here, because if it ends up pulling there, it's going to be way more difficult to rotate from Reckless Railways up the ridge versus down it. But look at that, Jacob. They were preparing for the worst case scenario, but it might have been the best for the ones who are at the railways.
This might be a good zone for King and Phaser as well, because it's going back over to their home territory towards the Reckless Railways. They recycle a lot of builds, but Lucy, Gavix, even though they have a rotation to make, being 35 above, they're using this opportunity to look all around at these rotating players to find some shots that they can land. Keffy and Relvis, they desperately need these shots now. 35 below, running out of heals and running out of time.
2 more minis will take 2 more ticks from Storm Surge, but all they need is 1 shot, being 35. Issue is 25 bullets in the Striker AR. If you end up using them all, that's it. You're gonna have to get all up close and personal. No more shield left. 2 ticks until Keffy gets eliminated.
Uh-oh, only 1 now, and he just needs to land 1 shot is all it takes, but he runs out of medium ammo and goes down because of it, leaving it all on the line in our 3rd and final game of the day. But you see other players still positioned towards the backside of zone that need to make their rotation on over. Wheat's going to lead the charge for him and Shimoki, and he's going to be the one that's kind of tasked with finding themselves a safe spot in towards the zone.
Straight lining it down the middle here, alongside almost seems like the whole lobby. as you'll have to be careful on where you're grapple blading to. Try and not pick the same positions that you think your opponents will. Avoid getting yourself boxed up. Where is Wheat, though? Where is your duo partner, Shimoki? There he is. Barely making it in. Forced now to pop a med kit.
And their position here ain't too bad either. We'll say they are stuck between a literal rock and a hard place, but you see them extending outward, giving themselves more room to work with as they make their way in zone. They know that they're 75 above the damage threshold, but at the same time, quickly falling below. They hear some shots going off inside. That's Vox. That's DKS. They're trying to take a 2v1 while the timing is right, but Vox goes down. Storm moving in. DKS can't be a hero. He has to continue to move forward, or it'll cost them everything.
Both players now left as a solo there. Edge of Storm trying to hide if they can, but Storm Surge gets activated again. And now the players have to start healing up, have to start doing damage. But for Shimoki and Wheat, it's just capitalizing on these players that have not done enough and picking them up for that extra loot and eliminations.
Yeah, now they have options. They saw a couple teams go out in this position. You see them scrape together all that loot, bring it back into their base for the next rotation. Forces everybody, or at least the majority of them, into a max pull across the map. But once again, back on over towards Reckless Railways.
Rub on now, Axe Force. Pop-airing that Flowberry Fizz juice to get them the mobility boost they need to try and get a safer rotate, but be careful, as so many players have a similar idea. Just 35 above, if they could do a bit of damage on this rotate, it would be massive. But the most important factor is making it into zone. Great job going all the way around the right side, avoiding the chaos down below. But Raban says, hey, I want an elimination. I want those extra points. I want that damage.
Yeah, he's trying to think far ahead into the future. He's trying to grab the refresh on the mats now so he doesn't have to worry about it later. Luckily for him, Axe Force was the one that caught DKS out and finished a lot of the damage that he was able to start. Quickly ends up in a tough spot, tagged up by Heine. Multiple teams even getting spotted out and taken down. I do believe that might have been one of those turrets that are near Reckless Railways.
Taken out by a turret. I hope not. Hope it was the opponents that landed enough shots, as King and FaZe are actually going to be the ones who are most elevated in this current zone. And seeing that this was their drop spot, hopefully their material count, it does. It looks beautiful. Almost max mats, most likely for both players. Issue is the zone does pull to the opposite side. Are they going to want to take it so early on? Are they going to stay second? Go ahead, look back. What do they want here?
This is like a three-phase movie each and every game. We saw part one in game one with Mongrel and Savage. Part two, King and Phaser. Couldn't have written a better script myself, but we'll see how the ending goes. Can they hold on to high ground? Axe Force did a lot of work to get him to this point, but lost Roban along the way. But luckily for him, he has 240 damage above the threshold. He just needs to figure out a way to continue moving forward and not stagger himself too far behind this mess.
High ground getting slightly contested here, but it's still in King and Phaser's favor. But shots keep coming through. Players close behind, they're grapple blading ahead, and so far nobody has overthrown them yet.
Yeah, he saw the 10 shield just get dropped off. Somebody actually grapple bladed onto Phaser himself, flying through the sky. Anything works at this stage with top 20 position here. Everybody kind of dropping like flies. We eat Shimoki trying to get another one off their picnic. That's Edit Course, who gets forced lower and lower into the mud, but reunites with Vortexia along the way. A blessing in disguise, some would say.
Artem, Chap, Khan, all these players getting ahead of zone on the low ground, though. They're stuck on the road in the dirt. Not too many players on the mid layers currently, but now it's Axe Force going. He doesn't have a duo partner, though. 4 Elims as a solo, as the pressure's on. 2-3 shots connected, gets the knock, but gets eliminated.
Oh, that's a nice opportunity, but Chexy just running rampant there on the low ground. Edit Course looking at height, but finds his opponent Khan and lands a monster of a shot, and that's going to give him the green light. Another one landed. That's his duo Chap. Back to back. They're not letting these players out of their sights. They cleaned that one up, and they know how weak Khan actually is.
4 on the board now. Edit Course Vortexia close to second high. It's King Phaser applying that pressure, making sure they know that the dominance is up above and nobody tries to overthrow them. Shimoki Wheat now continuing with 4 Elims. They were looking half in shambles earlier on, but now they're looking incredibly powerful. So much loot, just missing the materials.
And that's where I'm looking around, looking at everybody's inventory. Medkits, medkits, medkits. How many if you have them, just in case it comes down to a heal off? Edit Course, 0. All weapons in the inventory other than his mobility and his big pot, but he's being forced down low again to the low ground. The pressure from King and Phaser, not even allowing anybody to look up, is impressive.
Amazing job, just like you said, making sure nobody knows that high ground is going to be an easy task to take. Shimoki Wheat now maybe forced to pop these heals. They're doing it early, but they both have a good amount of medkits.
And this is something you don't see very often. The double heal to the backside of zone. Typically, you save them for one player. Hopefully, it'll pay off as all these solos get dropped out, including Vortexia. Edit Course is being left by himself. There's plenty of loot around, but it's the materials that is nowhere to be found. No heals either. Big Pot's going to be used because it's all he has left in the tank.
6 eliminations though. Mythic Hammer Pump. I know Edit Course has the confidence to continue here. 11 players up, it's 7 duos, and now he has to decide how can he stay up here. Where are the players at? But coming from the back of zone, eliminating Edit Course.
And it's King with another elimination while all that's going on. The pressure from the high ground is beginning to become a little bit too much for a couple of these players. But Ark, Rick Moore, they're going around the side to where there's not that easy of a line of sight, and they find if they have gold, they can get a free heal.
It might end up in a heal off here. We have a full duo in the mid ground, a full duo into the height, and on the low ground is Shimoki Wheat now forced to drop below. They don't have the heal off. They need to take the engagement. Shots come through. You saw the medkits being dropped. Shimoki gets a knock, and they know that his duo is going for the heal off.
Yep, backside of zone. There's really time running out. Shimoki doesn't really have any options. He gets dropped. Players falling left, right, and center, including King, who drops down low to the low ground, playing Disruptor, and the script almost writes itself, but King gets shut down. No chance to pop any med kit on the low ground. He did his job and some as him and Phaser take the game.
The script has been written. Perfectly executed endgame from King and Phaser, from taking height in the first moving zone, holding it throughout the whole endgame, and King in the last moments dropping down while his duo partner Phaser plays the heal off, denying the heals from the opponents, ultimately securing them the win.
They did such a fantastic job from upper bracket to lower bracket. A lot of teams will let the pressure, will let the disappointment get to them, but they didn't move across the world, playing one of the best regions to go down and out in FNCS just like that. They stepped up to the plate and they hit a grand slam to win that game.
Calm, collected, cold-blooded, and focused is what I see King and Phaser playing like right now. You could see they even had medkits to spare here. They didn't even have to play the heal off because King was so dominant in the low ground.
And that's going to be it right there. The movie does continue. Savage and Mongrel, game 1 victory. King and Phaser, game 2 victory. As we enter the third stage of this game, I'm going to throw it on over to Des to let them know what they see about this movie.
Thank you very much. I've actually run out of popcorn. The movie's been so intense so far this evening. I'm going to have to nip downstairs and see if I can find some more snacks, because this evening is the gift that keeps on giving. And Phaser and King, we knew they had to play out their minds, and the Fortnite gods gifted them a zone near their drop spot. They had everything they needed from Zone 6, and they truly delivered, Levin.
Absolutely. The script, man, it just keeps on giving. It just keeps on giving. And the zones are perfect for them on height there as well, man. Mini, look, it's not easy holding a height, you know, from first moving. We have seen that this season, but they handled it well. Pressure in that ninth zone that, you know, a lot of teams would have fell at the wayside. These guys held on, and not only did they hold on, they applied the right amounts of pressure. You saw there were times people wanted to look at Mini, but they just didn't give him a chance. And the win is very, very well deserved.
Yeah, really well deserved. And finally, they've managed to get themselves a victory royale. That's their first win in 29 games of these sort of final lobbies that they've played in this season. So it's finally clicked for them. It's finally come together. And finally, it seems like they made an end game as a duo together. And these are the fireworks that can be produced when that happens. And yeah, as you mentioned, really nice zone for them. Really nice way of playing height as well. Not easy to play it from that first moving zone, but they applied the pressure well. When the times where they looked like they could lose it happened, they automatically just decided, you know what, let's just shut that down. We're not having anyone taking this off us. And yeah, just really, really nicely well played from those guys.
Now they need to prove they can do it when the zone is not in their favor, but potentially they've got next weekend to do it if they can at least get a solid game out of this next and final game, I should say, of the lower bracket. But that has taken them to the top of the leaderboard. A tidy 111 points should feel like a lovely safety blanket right now, Mini Miner. But looking down the leaderboard, are there any other props you want to give?
Yeah, we got some nice blankets at the top. We got some almost paper mache towards the bottom. It's not quite as warm. We're seeing some names that really have to do some good work in this final game to make sure they're in that top 15. And it's this second page here that I'm going to be mostly looking at. This is the moment. This is the threshold. 68 points it is to make it into that top 15. Remember, that's where the teams need to find themselves to book their ticket to grand finals. A few names on here that we haven't necessarily talked too much about, but having some decent games here, Levin.
Yeah, absolutely. I look at the likes of Skydun and Shakos, who are just on that bubble now. They're a team that you'd expect to see in the grand finals. Very talented players. You know, the likes of Tino and Uruguay in the mix, right? Of course, Uruguay, again, just a legendary name in EU, right? And you know, he was gone for quite a while, but he's back in the mix of things. So to see him in the finals would be great. And some of the names below that as well, right? Dark is what saying a lot of these guys will be thinking, I deserve to be in grand finals. I'm good enough. This last game is going to be incredibly tense for those teams.
Do you think it's going to be an all-out performance? Because actually looking at that second page on the leaderboard, I see Khan and I see Chapwin. And from what I've seen from those guys, they can pull out an all-out aggression and they can potentially pull off an epic performance. It's just whether things are going to fall in their favor like they did for King and FaZe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you can say the same for a lot of teams as well. All it takes is one win right here to make sure that they can boost their way up, because that's all they have, right? They only have this one last game, so even more so than the upper bracket earlier on. If they can get themselves a win, maybe a 40th place right now, why not go for high? It almost turns into a victory format. So it's going to be interesting to see how the play styles develop. Maybe some fights for the forecast tower might ensue. We'll have to wait and see how it unfolds.
Yeah, I still really am looking to Trulex and Chicho, man. I'm a big fan of those guys. I really do rate Trulex as an IGL. I think he's so underrated. And so, you know, I'd be falling on my face if he was now to not qualify, right? You know, we can't have one of the best minds we have just not making it. And you know, you look at how things have gone for them. It has been a rockier road than they would have been used to. But this is a time to, you know, show some adversity, show some heart, show some courage. And, you know, I definitely think they're made of that.
We've seen it. We've seen it in Copenhagen. We've seen the back-to-back victory royales. And that's the biggest stage of them all, the highest amount of pressure. And these boys are able to withstand it. Maybe playing at home just isn't pressure enough. We're going to find out really soon because we're nearly ready to get into game number 3. I can't wait to see if there are any potential upsets, maybe some names that we haven't pointed out so far who are going to sail into that top 15. But it's been a great evening of redemption as well. Obviously, we've talked about King and FaZe, Mongrel and Savage as well. The question marks around that duo, Mongrel's return. Levin, you were saying earlier that if Mongrel and Savage win next weekend, then technically Mongrel has got back-to-back FNCS victories.
Yeah, technically, yeah. The last FNCS grand finals he played, specifically grand finals, the last FNCS grand finals he played, he won. So if he was to win, it'd be a back-to-back grand finals win for him.
And I'm going to get you, Levin, to write any PR statement I need in future because you're a natural kiddo. We're going to head now to the third and final game of the lower bracket. This is our last game of the semi-finals and the last chance for these 50 duos to book a spot in the grand finals. Jacob PR and Takata, take it away.
I could have not asked for a better semi-finals. We are watching a movie today. 2 weeks of qualifiers, 3 days of semi-finals, and it all comes down to this. The last match of the day, the last opportunity to make it to grand finals, and the battle bus is ready. Let's get right into it.
These are the final moments leading up to our FNCS grand finals next weekend. If you're in that top 15, great. Now you have to hold on to it. If you're outside of the top 15, lay it all on the table. Leave nothing to regret when the day is over.
Cutoff currently at 68 points for top 15. It will be going up, obviously, once this game concludes, but that's where it's at currently. So we'll have to keep an eye on the duos around there, but Mahi getting right into the action.
Yeah, Mahi and Topco need a big game here. They're outside of that bubble with trading shots back and forth. Topco trying to reunite. Flowberry Fizz coming out, trying to give them a little more oomph to work with, but it's only going to come down to a trade. Topco is going to be the one outlasting everybody, though. The bait and switch comes out, and they stand 10 toes down.
31 HP left. 2 elims on the board now. Topco Mahi feeling extra happy. If you get eliminated here, Jacob, that's it. No more opportunities.
Your FNCS journey is over. And a battle that we've seen go the way of Savage and Mongrel. 2 for 2 so far. Hallie and Frizzy are going to be there. Hopefully they've learned their mistakes about that third-party potential. And that's why you kind of see them position themselves on the other side of the building before they go up and in, trying to chase down Mongrel. Figure out where he's at. And I do believe they already have the elimination onto Savage. So this will be the last remaining player before they're able to finally claim Ship It Station as their own.
You can see the third party creeping up. All they have to do is land a couple shots here. They aim, they take the shots, but they're unable to connect enough to continue forwards until now. It looks like Mongrel does get eliminated, though. Kovacs with the elim.
Second place, 105 points for Mongrel and Savage. You have to imagine they got to be feeling confident with their position on the leaderboard. Kovacs, nice snipe. They've been such disruptors to that fight that is contested. They're doing a good job, too, of not overstaying their welcome and getting greedy. As soon as they get eliminations and damage, they go right back underneath to continue the looting where they left off.
Look, Mongrel and Savage got eliminated, but having over 100 points in the position they're in, it should be enough to take them to grand finals. Blaha Yapko, though, looking to see if they can pick up a couple elims.
Yapko doing pretty well up until this point. 23rd place, still have more to go, and it can start with eliminations like that. Serene's going to get taken down. Demas is going to get stuck by himself. They could bulldozing their way into the box. They want to end this quickly, but the longer it takes, you see that third party at the top of the mountain, Vortexia Edit Course, potentially trying to steal away the elimination that they fought so hard to get up until now. Unfortunate circumstances, but now they see it. They move forward. Vortexia trying to go ahead and gather all that loot and steal even more away from that duo.
Currently sandwiching their opponents. Edit Course on one side, Vortexia on the opposite. Are they just going to look for shots? Are they going to regroup? Vortexia wanted the loot from the elimination. Blaha Yapko don't want nothing to do with this fight no more. They got the damage they needed. They got the loot they needed. Currently not being in qualifying range. All they want to do now is continue rotating through, doing what they can to make it to the late game.
Doing a good job. Picking everything up where they need it as Tino. Seemingly by himself. Question where Uguay is at. And with Arc having one elimination, I think that question is answered almost instantaneously. They're forcing Tino over and over towards the low ground before finally disengaging. Surprising that I've seen so many teams kind of disengage away from those solos.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, sometimes it's not worth it, especially if the solo has a grapple blade or some sort of mobility item that allows them to disengage. But even if you're just hiding and you can't find them, you really cannot waste a lot of time in these matches. You want to finish your loot path. You want to start on your surge path. You want to start rotating. You want to continue farming. There's always things you can be doing. And if you're just hunting for a solo, it could be gone by now. It might just be time wasted.
Seeing Kefi, Belvis on the other side, and Marco and Vision, bro. They're inside of that bubble. Tied with Shakos and Skydune, 68 points, 15th, 14th place, losing the more towards this north side of the map. So there is opportunity to get the reboot and get your teammate back into the game, but definitely has the potential to come at a cost because the closer they get on over towards Lavish Layer, you see a team in the minimap slowly but surely appearing in the distance.
Kaijo for Strokey. Outside of zone now. Looks like a staggered engagement. It's Topco on the other end. Just one shot away from getting eliminated for Strokey. Picks it up. 8 points on the board, and that could be huge. 4 points per elimination is massive when it's top 15 to qualify. There's more. It's Chexy. 2v1 now against Haijo. He has to regroup with Strokey.
It's not going to be the easiest thing, though. Gonna have to expend a lot of resources to try to get to one another, and you see firing shots from the distance. Anything works with the frenzy. Just trying to back off your opponent, not necessarily finish a fight. And with that little bit of stalling that just happened, they're going to go ahead and continue to try to disengage, and especially so since it is going to be a far pool and they're one of the teams inside of the top 5.
Yeah, for Strokey and Hydro, though, being in 31st, they cannot take these risks as they head right back into zone. Being second zone, they're not going to get penalized as much for rotating through it. They won't be losing as much HP per second as they will be later on. So they will go for the safer rotate as Misha Tini. Pleasant Piazza also on the edge of zone. Might make the similar decision.
And Misha and Tini just landing in different spots. Kind of what they do best. Whether if it's a different drop spot or a different loop path to try to catch teams off guard. Once again, finding so much success here in the game. Started it in 6th place, 92 points, all but guaranteed. They still have to play this one out. But their loadout's the only thing that's kind of concerning. Lacking a ton of material. And obviously, their loadout can use an upgrade in terms of their hammer and their striker.
Tiny and his duo partner right above a duo. I think they do know they're there, although they are crouched. They have an idea that something's up. Something's a little sketchy. Goes for the full box, but gets turned on. Tiny forces a solo now. Has to make something happen to come out on top. 2 shots get connected. Not even enough for a crack, though, as the pressure is on.
Yeah, he saw Heine immediately try to get aggressive on back while the damage is hot, but his teammate Monet doing a good job of alleviating some of that pressure, but Lunex goes right back in, and Heine makes him regret that decision. Well-placed shots once more with the frenzy, and now that he has both of those players weak, he's using that opportunity to try to disengage and bring his teammate back into the game. They need, just like a few other teams, a massive finish today. They're about 30 or so points shy, and the way the day has been going for them with their average placement overall, it's just one of those things you have to keep moving forward, even if your teammate's down.
I had faith, Jacob. I'm not gonna lie. When he was going in with the frenzy shotgun, I was like, he's gonna get this 1v2. He's doing so much damage. I guess he took the smart decision, though, the safe one, to disengage. Issue is now, I mean, his opponents are gonna heal up. Who knows if they're gonna play around the reboot card. I think he might have got it. He probably should have, especially if he disengaged. So I assume he's just trying to get a reboot out here in the wild, but does he know that Artem is there? I think he does. He might have just seen him.
Probably waiting for him to kind of continue to rotate on out. There's zip lines that can be towards the top. Snazy, similar spot. But more than enough Flowberry Fizz to try to get away. It's just, does he have the time to continue to use it with Slove and X-Squeeze hot on his tails? We'll also have the Grapple Blade Flowberries themselves, so in theory, Takata, they can chase this for as long as they so choose.
The pursuit is going to continue here as Snazy is doing everything that he can to escape Slove and X-Squeeze. But with all 3 players having a Grapple Blade, it's an even run, and shots continuing to get connected from the duo here. It's not looking like it's in Snazy's favor.
Yeah, he even got this third parties. They're probably just watching that, wondering what's going on. Nobody really closing in on that distance as they continue to be on a hot pursuit against Snazy. The Grapple Blades, the Flowberries, it's gonna be so hard for Snazy to continue to try to survive, and it's just about when Slove and X-Squeeze just get bored of the chase.
It's kind of what happens. We were talking about it earlier, you know, when you're chasing a solo, when they have these mobility items, the Grapple Blades, even just Crash Pads and the Flowberry, it just gets to a point where it might not be worth it. You could be doing more efficient things other than chasing. So we switch on over to Hazy, where there's quite a few duos boxed up in the area. This is kind of the combat cache section of the match.
You've seen some teams already positioned, boxed up, like they have control of one. Others still looking like they have more searching to do, more rotating before they find that safety. But for them, they're just trying to get together the scraps. And honestly, I've never really seen anybody farm those in my life. So they're really thinking outside of the box to get every piece of material that they can get.
Metal's the most scarce one. You need to find any option to farm it that you can. So making use of those metal structures are incredibly important. But Lucy now gonna find this combat cache.
Good find for them as we get a peek on the leaderboard just outside of the bubble. 42 points. Heine Noya, we've seen them a few times. Blaha Yapko, seen them a few times. Chulex and Chicho, though, after that last game, surprise contested after they switched up their drop spot. Wasn't necessarily the most fun time for Chulex and Chicho, but you have to have the endurance, the confidence to continue to move forward. 34 points, 26th on the leaderboard. This wouldn't have necessarily been a bad position if we were in the upper bracket, but it's only top 15, and this is the last game to gather those points for the leaderboard.
Makes it that much harder, that much more stress. I'm getting nervous, Jacob. I'm not even playing, and I'm feeling nervous for these players. Chicho, good amount of materials rotating through. Duo's already boxed up, though, taking shots, going through the river, trying to swim to the zone. As it's King, trying to see if Phaser is around. They have played a little split up before, just to cover more area. Even made some kind of fake bases on high elevated locations around the drop spot as we are approaching the Reckless Railways.
Judging by the pacing of this game, seeing how many players are left alive, it looks like we're going to have a little bit of a later Storm Surge activation. Because typically in this zone, it kind of forces down to 78. You see there's 65. Zone after that, it's going to be 64. And they're just right there at 65. So might not see Storm Surge until about the FNCS weekend average of Zone 6. So teams this game have a little bit more time to prepare of how they're going to pick up and gather that Storm Surge.
Dino Uguay, 12th place right now at 74. You can see how close it is, though, in that top 15 realm. 68 points is the marker right now. But that will be changing shortly once this final match concludes.
They're so close. Any team right now that's either inside or on the bubble, if they go down, it's just so unfortunate. You have to watch it all play out as Vox is already knocked. Jaco's Sky Dude made quick work of him. His opponent, say his teammate, disengaged not too long before that, but he's stuck as a solo. You can kind of see him on the mini-map, just stuck between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even 6 duos that are in the direct vicinity of Reckless Railways, even more making their rotations in.
Replacing the builds from this engagement, make sure they have the option to edit them. On the train tracks of Reckless Railways. It would be kind of funny if the train decided to wander on through right now, but so far they're safe. Slove X squeeze though. Little chilly.
Everybody's still fighting at the edge of zone. Multiple teams at that. Squeeze Slove is going to be one of them. They have the advantage of going in from different angles, the elevation, but you have to be careful. Slove is getting targeted out, trying to play defensive. Meanwhile, X-Squeeze slowly but surely creeping his way in towards the side. They spotted out at the last moment, but not before his teammate took too much damage. Now Kefi's trying to alleviate any of the pressure, but Slove once again hot on the heels, fighting for that piece control.
Doesn't want to jump in. It's just going for walls here. It's not ready to risk it all. Although they do have that HP and shield advantage, they still want a little bit more security before going all in. Cone's getting replaced, trying to get the roof here.
Even give him mid ammo, or ammo mid fight. Slove X squeeze. Not wanting to give up on this just yet. They expended so much in this fight so far. Sometimes you just don't want to give up on the play, but 5 seconds. Zone is going to push all of these players in, and there is a huge lack of actual HP heals going around between both of these teams, and especially since another one from Relvis is going to be used rather early. And this is a team that's in the bubble. They just need to stay alive and hold their position on the leaderboard.
Scavenge as many points as possible. No need to do anything risky. Even with those 2 limbs, that's already 8 more points to continue through with. It's now, it looks like they've disengaged, but if they end up following, there's a good chance that they end up looking back with X-Squeeze saving himself from that shot there. And now they're forced to kind of take a larger or longer rotate here along the side of the hill.
Yeah, you see him on the line, 68 points still. Kind of see the Flowberry Fizz crash pad rotations about to come out, and it's kind of their only hope. They only have 2 more uses with the Flowberry Fizz if they want to spread it out, so they're running out of resources at this stage in the game, which is very, very impactful for that top 15.
Vortexia edit course in a sticky situation here. It actually might be a good one for them, as edit course is going to be the one that secured an elimination. Some more loot. Was it a full elim though? Is the duo completely gone? They are, as edit course has 2.
Got us down to 64 players. And the zone begins to move yet again. That's when Storm Surge is going to turn on. 10 more players need to go down. Panda stuck by himself. See him eyeing a couple players over the top. He does have a sniper as well. Frenzy Auto tries to peek through, land a couple of shots. Not going to be enough, but Nefrizzy actually does get the knock onto Vortexia, and the cleanup comes through from Panda. So all it is a reboot card left behind at Recluse Roadways.
Instant finish from the Reaper sniper, sending him to the Shadow Realm, as Phaser as well has gone down on the feed. Panda left as a solo, going right back to the reboot van. Does he have time? Will the duos in the surrounding area stop him? DKS has found him. He said, no, no, no. I'm not letting you get the reboot.
DKS might actually need the reboot as well, but Zone pushing everybody off. Panda doesn't have any HP to regain, so he doesn't really have a choice here but to continue moving forward, hoping that a reboot van becomes available in the near future. Great decision, not getting greedy. Team's going to be below him. If he tried to jump into that box, that would have been a nightmare, but so is following King. But a nice shot by Panda, catching another player off guard.
What a way to clean up another elim. Sky jump back to the lobby. Panda continuing with the grapple blade.
Great work by Panda, even using the crash pad. Double movement, justifying a little bit of safety. 269 above the damage threshold. Even though teams are inching closer in that direction, it's almost little to worry about because he sees them. He's spotting them out. They're the focus, not him. Almost no reason to peek unless you want to take part of the party. And he sees them outside of zone. Both of those players go down. Unfortunately, Panda is not going to get either one for himself, but he's so, I was going to say he's close to loot. He can grab it, but Shaw read my mind.
Panda knows, though, that loot, that's dangerous loot, Jacob. So many duos are on this side of the map. You can see at the bottom right how many are based up looking back at where that player just got eliminated. If you drop down and go for the loot and end up getting cracked, especially as a solo, the focus is back on you. You want to avoid those risks, especially if you're close to the cutoff. DKS still as a solo was also unable to get the reboot, and now all of these players have to rotate back to the snowy mountains, and we know what the late games are like over there. The changes in elevation, the hills, the mountains, it makes it much more difficult.
Especially as a solo, everything becomes difficult. You're kind of freed in a different way. You're able to play a little bit more flexibility. Everything becomes difficult. You're kind of freed in a different way. You're able to play a little more flexibility, knowing you don't have to stay with your teammate. You can rotate all around, but with 2 eliminations, 8 points so far in this game, Vox has 1. They're in 18th place on that leaderboard as it stands. They need to just pass up 2 different teams, and it's all up to DKS.
DKS recycling crash pad after crash pad, not having to use a single one, and it's working so far. He's almost made it in. Not a scratch on his shoulder, as now he builds up. He does have to do multiple boxes. He does not want his opponents to know that he is a solo. As he hears some action behind, its players rotating in later, but has Uruguay found it? Do they know that it's a solo?
Oh, even if they knew or didn't know, DKS felt very, very uneasy in that position. Edits towards the top, repositions a little bit higher away from Uruguay, but the shot's still pouring through. Door or no door, they're gonna make their way in, and this is the time. Push comes to shove. He's able to escape for now, but he gets dropped on, sent back to the lobby. 18th place is where it looks like they're gonna finish.
Uruguay needed this as well. It put them 80 above now with that elimination, but they still have lots to worry about. There's a long way to go. It's a whole journey. It's a marathon. As now loot getting split up, crash pad getting ready to be used here. 8th zone has pulled towards the east. It's getting closer and closer to those hills, and the pressure's on.
We need to go down to about 40 players overall, which doesn't seem like a lot, but with everybody rotating from point A to point B, very, very close together, there's going to be a lot of destruction and chaos. A missed grapple blade there momentarily, but he's still going to make his way forward. Storm Surge really doing a lot of damage, but this is his opportunity to get shots himself, but he gets dropped. Teammates there trying to alleviate the pressure, but Storm Surge causing so much commotion. He can't think here in this moment, and in comes another player. Tarps from the backside of the box takes him out.
Pred, gotta be the one getting that. Are getting eliminated now. Tinio, Uguay, 39 above. Good position here, but they still have to make it in. Looks like they already have their base built up. You have to be careful here, though. There's so many duos close by. If you end up being the focus, you don't have a lot of space to work with. They are 170 above. 40 players now. So many duos behind. This could be free pickings.
Yeah, that's a huge amount of loot. Didn't really see too much HP down there, but this is the stage of the game where it means so much. It's even scarier than early game because teams are going to drop off left, right, and center. If you don't have the map to know where you need to finish, you have to set your eyes on the prize and just take the game overall, and that's what Shaw and Low-Key are looking to do. They have 3 eliminations so far. They have high ground cemented and plenty of builds to work with.
On the peak of the mountain, almost in the clouds already. First moving zone about to commence. Chaos shortly going to be unfolded. Blaha, Jabko, 3 elims, 302 above. Not much to worry about other than this rotation as they look for the place to start it.
You see them staggering themselves back, looking towards the zone, seeing it catch up before they pop their Flowberry Fizz and rotate. Chicho under pressure. Him and Trulex get separated momentarily before they find their way back once more. Reunited has never felt so good for a team that needs to pop off here.
Continuing with the Flowberry Fizz to get that mobility boost, but all the players now are rotating through. You cannot get put into your opponent's box. You have to stay connected. You need the chemistry with your duo partner here. You cannot get split up.
Placement points beginning to roll in. 5 teams went down. At least 10 points for your efforts. They're going to be up to 14. You count up the elimination added on top. Stan, he's done a good job being able to claim that high ground, but Kovacs dropped all the way down low. They're separated. Nitrox is trying to go up and challenge it for the high ground. Uguay and Tinio down on Surge, still trying to find their way forward, and it's going to go up this mountain. We've seen too many times how dangerous this can be.
This could be an opportunity to retake height if you're able to get ahead. But as Tinio, Uguay, who are going to blow, they boxed up, they've grouped up. No materials for Tinio. How much does Uguay have? Do they have enough to get out of here?
Teeny, who already have their spot at the top of the leaderboard, play bracket busters to Trulex and Chicho.
Heal off incredibly. But it's going to be Low-Key going for the high ground. It's been chopped. Has he secured it?
Yeah, I think he was able to hold on there for now. Scary moment. Yapko, he's going to be by himself. Even more scarier than a few moments ago. No builds, continues to pile on, but he's moving and grooving, figuring out the distance, but he does not have time to use it. Somebody spots right behind. Great shots from Yapko, but it's not enough. Gabbins takes him down and survives with just a sliver of HP.
Darkus still with the heal off. He's went through 3 medkits. He's went through 3 floppers. He's now used them all. Grapple blade in, farming as much placement as possible. No builds. He needs an impact.
This edit on this wrap is going to be very, very crucial as he's looking towards the backside of zone. He knows a couple players are there. Howley gets shut down, separated from his teammate. Misha's in another exchange, but he gets dropped. Nitrox as well. Top 7. Here we go.
Darkus is not done cooking. 4 elims on the board. It's Casper, though, who's taking height. Low-Key now down below. TD in zone already with the heal off as Low-Key takes his shots with the frenzy. Connects to one for Strokey. Crack now. That's another down the hill, the waterfall.
That's going to be big as it gets cracked and runs out of builds. Shaw's going to be right above him. That's his saving grace. But Casper, he has to drop down low. No HP. Teeny's still the backside of zone. He gets spotted out, but he overstays just a toe. Dipped into the zone. He goes down to Storm. Teeny, 1v2. Low-Key versus Shaw. We've already seen him play bracket Bunster once. Can he do it again?
2 medkits. Is it going to be enough? 22 seconds until the zone closes. TD knows he has to get into the action here, takes the shots, but it's going to be Saw and Low-Key that get the elim and secure the win.
I don't know where they were positioned on the leaderboard to start this game, but it doesn't matter. When you set your eyes on the prize, nothing else matters but first place, and they've earned themselves that victory royale and earned themselves a chance to shoot up the leaderboard.
Aryan, low-key, they've done it. Last match of the day, the last opportunity. How has the leaderboard shaken up, Jacob? It's going to be top 15. That's what they're aiming for. And with a victory royale like that, you know that they are in.
Yeah, and they had the high ground as teams dropped off the side of the mountain. They held it perfectly and finally used the Flowberry Fizz to drop down and end the game. They did not have a ton of HP if that did go to a heal off, so that was a must situation, and it paid off tenfold.
That's why it's important to have a good duo partner, have that synergy to be able to capitalize on those 2 versus 1 situations. But talking about synergy, I want to talk about a good trio. Frankie, Levin, Mini, what do you have for us?
Thank you so much, guys. Well, you're a great duo. I have to say that was an tough opponent for us over the past few days. Their consistency in getting to those end games is quite something. But Shah and Loki, take a bow and just enjoy this moment. I can't wait to see if they can disrupt the lobby next weekend, Levin.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Really interesting, sort of like final moments here for Loki and Aryan, because they ran out of mats and the zone's going down a mountain and you're the height team. It's the worst situation you can possibly have. But they make it work. They drop down and for a moment you think, ooh, Teeny's set up here to maybe steal it away. But they hit the shots they need to hit, and that's all you can do in that moment. So I'm glad they didn't throw it away. I think even in second place, it's still an amazing game for them given the context, but it's good they actually got the win secured.
Should we take it?
Teeny, of course, clutching up again. I mean, I just want to jump in because Teeny's just done such a fantastic job today. You mentioned the consistency. It's consistency in getting high placements when they get to that end game, right? We saw them go down on spawn. They had a rough game 2, had a really good start today and a really good finish to the day as well. So that's definitely a team to look out for in grand finals because they've always got something going on.
I apologize for interrupting you, Mini Miner, but I was just so excited because the leaderboard is ready. We can find out which 15 duos are going through to the grand finals. Misha and Teeny deserving that place at the top of the table for that consistency, that aggression, and that entertainment X factor. I'm barely making sense anymore. I'm just so excited. And Phaser and King are there. This was definitely a duo that we were following and we were rooting for, Levin.
A lot of our favorites, I think, made it through. Like we've been saying the past 3 games, the script writers have been really blessing us when it comes to today. When we start looking at our next page, that's really where the cutoff is. And as you can see, our boys Mongra and Savage, they stayed in the top 15 there in 12th. But wrapping it up, Predaj and Aya Bafo. When I saw them go down last game, Mini, I was really worried for them because I knew they were in the top 15. I thought, ooh, they might drop out here, but they've managed to stay in it.
Only just as well. Another team right there in 17th, Fast Roki and Haijo. Those guys had a 6th place with 7 eliminations in that final game. In those moments, you have to think, yeah, that's got to be it. We've qualified our way through, and it was a very similar situation in that upper bracket early on with Mongol and Savage, where it just wasn't quite enough to make their way through. That just shows the small margins that need to happen for these guys to qualify through. But what a day it's been. What a clutch performances we've seen from so many of our teams.
What a weekend it's been. We've been talking about the players all weekend, but we haven't had the chance to speak to one of them. So we've got to say Chindobri right now to Jiras. Joining us. Hello, thank you so much for coming on the line. Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations on qualifying through the upper bracket earlier today, Jiras. Tell me, how have you found the competition this weekend?
Yeah, thank you for the congratulations. I found this weekend like pretty good. I mean, we didn't start like good enough. We didn't qual to upper round 2, so we had to be ready to play lower round 2. But then we managed to qual somehow to upper round 3, and then I was like relaxed that we will be able to make the grand finals.
Yeah. Giras, you and Chari, very, very good players in my opinion, and you know, you have plenty of experience. What is going to change now for this weekend? What are you guys going to do? You mentioned you've not had the best season. It's been a bit of a bumpy ride. What do you do in grand finals that makes things smoother for you?
We will have to do a lot of preparations, just watching other teams, like thinking about all the strategies that we can do. Yeah, I think that's the main thing, to just have a good game plan and just have fun and play.
It seems like you guys do really well when you guys are uncontested. Looking like you're going to be contested now going into grand finals. How does that change your approach to preparation for a big event like that?
Yeah, it does affect the preparations. We will have to make it probably plan A and plan B in case we will, for example, have to split the spot. But I think, to be honest, that we will be able to win most of the contests, or even maybe we will be uncontested. Who knows?
Who knows? We'll have to wait until next weekend to find out. Giras, where can we find you online if we want to throw our support your way?
You can find me by just writing G13Raz, so that's my nickname pretty much everywhere: Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok. It's everywhere the same.
Fantastic. Well, Polska Gorum, dziękuję. Thank you for joining us, and good luck next weekend. And give our best to Shari. I haven't learned how to say bye yet in Polish, but I will work on it for next weekend, because we've got so many brilliant Polish players competing. Obviously, Seti and Cami also making the grade for next weekend. So I can't wait to see who is going to be representing as our winners of the first major of Chapter 5. It's going to be a long wait, but I can't. Well, it's going to be a long wait, but I can't wait, Levin. I'm not going to lie. There's no glossing over that one, is there?
I'm surprised you didn't ask him, to say something to his fans in Poland, to be honest. But I'm looking forward to the weekend. A lot of our favorite teams, a lot of the names we wanted to see, the teams we've been following throughout the season, have made it through. A couple who, of course, will be disappointed, but there's a couple more majors left, Mini. So, you just got to hit the drawing board and bounce back even stronger.
Yeah, I cannot wait for this grand final. It's going to be absolutely amazing. It's almost like the battle of the veterans. We have so many old names coming through. We have, of course, Mongrel, Aqua, Chapix coming in as well. Ooh. So it's like, this is going to be exciting to see how those guys can perform.
Yeah, I am so excited to see who takes it next weekend. We've had 3 days of epic action. So thank you, Levin, Mini Miner, Jacob, and Takata. Thank you guys at home for watching. Thanks to our players and production. Check out this sweet little number, and we'll see you on the Battle Bus.
That's my show.